Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ariel Helwani Show!
Back in your life on this Monday, July 7th, 2025. Hello again, everyone. It's so good to be back. Regular Monday show. Regular time slot. We're in the Saturday of the calendar year. Everyone loves July. The vibes are high. America just celebrated its 249th birthday. If you were one who was celebrating this weekend, I hope you had a lovely time. I sure did. I was at the beach with my wife and daughter. It was a grand old time. We had a lovely, lovely, lovely long weekend. And well, if you're one who was not celebrating, I hope you just had a nice weekend. Because we have a lot to get to. There's a lot going on. New York City is the epicenter of the boxing world this weekend with the massive Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano 3 fight card on Friday right here at the Mecca, Madison Square Garden, live on Netflix. Can't wait to be a part of that. And then on Saturday, the Edgar Berlanga versus Hamza Shiraz / Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda card at Louis Armstrong Stadium in Flushing Meadow, Queens, the U.S. Open. One of the U.S. Open venues. So there's a lot to get into. There's a lot to be excited about. Massive weekend coming up next weekend in the world of combat sports. Just so much going on. It was a relatively quiet one in the world of MMA. There were a couple of PFL events. There was a PFL Middle East show. There was also a PFL Europe show on Saturday. But as far as the UFC is concerned, relatively quiet. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a ton to talk about. So let's get into today's lineup. So excited. So happy to be back. Regular 1 p.m. start time now for the foreseeable future. So no more 2:30 this or that. So thank you very much for your patience and understanding. And on the back end of the show, we're actually going to be joined in studio by the co-founder of Most Valuable Promotions, the one and only Nakisa Bidarian, the former CFO of the UFC, and now alongside Jake Paul, of course, they have really gone full steam ahead in the world of boxing, and in particular in the world of women's boxing. This card on Friday, by the way, live and free on Netflix. No pay-per-view, just a subscription required, available to 300 plus million if you're in Brazil, if you're in Mexico, if you're in Japan, if you're anywhere in the world, Canada, USA, Argentina, Norway, Ireland, England, it doesn't matter where, you can watch this card with just your regular subscription. Now, what's interesting about it is I'm told the Guinness Book of World Records may be getting involved. In total, 8 fights. In 5 of those 8 fights, 21 titles being defended, 2 undisputed title fights, a litany of unified title fights. In total, 21 titles on the line in one way, shape, or form. And of course, the big one is Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. So that is a gigantic deal. He'll join us to talk about their foray into the world of women's boxing, their strong push. What the hell happened with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and ICE, him getting detained? I think it was on Thursday afternoon. That was shocking stuff. Where does Jake go from here? All that stuff and more. We'll have Nakisa in studio at around 3:45. At 3:15, we'll be joined by Joshua Van, who, of course, is going to meet Alexandre Pantoja for the title maybe back into the year, coming off that incredible win over Brandon Royval. Can't wait to talk to him, one of the bright young stars, maybe the breakout star as far as the UFC is concerned in 2025. And maybe by the time the year is done, maybe the male fighter of the year, for goodness sakes. By the way, prior to that, we'll show you a snippet of our behind-the-scenes Vegas International Fight Week trip when GC and Rick infiltrated the UFC headquarters, the Apex. They were there, hallowed ground. They saw it all. They did it all. We'll show you a snippet of that, and most likely we'll post a whole 30-minute cinema, if you will, tomorrow on the YouTube channel. So stay tuned for all of that. Prior to that, we'll be joined by someone who competed on International Fight Week last week in Las Vegas, the great Bella Mir, who has turned into a phenom, the daughter of one Frank Mir, collegiate wrestling, BJJ, MMA. She has an MMA fight. She fought or competed at UFC BJJ 1. She is an absolute phenom. And we're going to have the two of them on at the same time, Bella and Frank at the same time. What a joy. I remember covering Frank fights and his kids are running around all over the place. Now his daughter is an absolute, just a star in the making. acts like her dad, competes like her dad, is submitting people, beating people up. It's a real impressive thing, and it feels like just a matter of time before she enters the UFC. So let's look forward to that. And then prior to that, chat, the one and only Butterbean, often imitated, never duplicated. The only man, by the way, the only man who can say that he competed against Larry Holmes, competed in a WrestleMania, competed against Johnny Knoxville. There's a bunch of other ones in there. Mariusz Pudzianowski, the only person that could say he competed against all those people and then some. An unbelievable career. I mean, when you look at his actual resume, I don't think people realize what this guy has done. 17-10-1 in MMA, 77-10-4 in boxing, 3-4 in kickboxing. Has competed at WrestleMania, has competed in Pride, KSW, Cage Rage. Again, fought the likes of Larry Holm and Peter McNeely, who fought Mike Tyson, an absolute legend of the game, and now has really turned his life around. A lot of people in the chat, though, have been asking, is this the day? Is this the Monday? Is this the time that the prodigal son finally comes to our New York City studio? Is this the time that the crack hits our New York City studio, the uncrowned HQ? And yes, I can confirm. Without further ado, let's bring him in like he's an actual superstar guest. Yes, right here. Right here. There he is. Get the music. Yes. Look at this guy.
No,
Look
too
at
much
this
man.
guy. Look at this guy.
Hello, everyone.
He's here.
Frank's been giving out to me because I'm not speaking into the mic, so I would have danced my way in, but Frank's just been non-stop in my ear. Can you see my face, Frank? He's saying the mic's not covering my face.
Fucking hell.
He just said no one likes me.
I can't wait for the pop. The pop on the YouTube. Let's see. They're probably going nuts right now because you are their favorite.
Oh yeah?
You're the biggest baby face in the biz.
Doesn't
You
surprise me.
have overtaken the one and only GC for the biggest.
I don't know about that.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
They're saying New York about to have a crack epidemic. Look at that fresh haircut. You know yourself. No way. Oh my God. Does Ariel have a 10? Yes, I can confirm. NBD. The people are going nuts. The PT theme hits different today. Let's go PT. You got the 4-leaf clover. What's the difference between the 4-leaf and the 3-leaf?
Can't tell you, man.
Okay.
It's an Irish secret.
What is it like? What is it like being here? This
it's
is great.
crazy. Yeah, no,
this
it's
is
great.
great. This is amazing. Look at us.
I have to say, right? Like,
Yeah.
I talked to all these people so much.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like weird at all when I saw everyone. I know I've met them
You're an
before.
extended member of the family.
Yeah. It was a great time. I mean, Andy made us all a cake for all the July birthdays.
That's right.
It was
That's right.
very special. Thank
Let's
you,
count
Andy.
the birthdays.
Number one, Andy. You're my number one. Yeah.
You on July 7. No, you're on 17.
Yes.
GC 16.
Yes.
Jordan 9.
Who? Someone else on July 8th, maybe?
Big
is it?
dog.
Who is
Big
it?
dog. Stop it.
And then
stop
when's
it.
Rick?
And then Rick's August 1st.
Yeah.
So within the span of 30 days, there's 6 birthdays.
Maybe we should think about getting rid of Frank if he's not.
No, he was the 6th. I was including him because it's always part. Is anyone back there? It seems so quiet back there. Is everyone okay?
You guys cook.
We're having fun back here, guys.
You all right, Frank? Perfect.
Yeah, what's wrong with Frank?
Well,
Got a little lung issue.
Laryngitis?
Probably.
I just when we came in this morning, we're all like, "What's up, Frank?"
Everyone's happy.
He's raspy.
Yeah, we're like,
Then-
Frank, how was your week? And he's like, it was fine. We're like, what's wrong, man? He's like, a lung issue. We're like, what happened, dude? He's like, nothing, whatever.
Can't
right,
go
man.
into it.
You don't
Can't go
care.
into
Look
it.
at this 4-shot right here.
oh, wow.
This is amazing.
Look at Petesy. Look at that side profile.
Yeah, you
Looking
look
fantastic.
Should we say what Aspinall said?
That's your camera.
Yeah,
Pete.
yeah. Right, so, well,
Tell the
I
story.
set the
Everyone
table.
else is
Set the
already
table.
thinking it.
I set the fucking table, right? So I come in today, and Rick is like, "Oh, Petesy, what size are you?" He has this box of Champion goods.
Yeah, nice.
And there's a couple of people sponsored by Champion, one being Thomas Aspinall.
yes.
And I was like, "Oh, wow." Looking through the names here, a lot of names written on the old clothing.
Oh, it's actually labeled.
Yes.
Wow.
Do you know
Didn't realize.
what wasn't there?
I didn't hear. No.
Just the guy that's been covering them longer than anyone in fucking mixed martial arts media, Peter Carroll. Nothing there. So I get out the phone
Yeah.
and I make a video, and I say, "Tom Aspinall, what the very excited here." Do you know he sends me back?
What's the crack there? You say.
I
What's
said,
the crack?
"What's the crack with
Yeah.
with the no champion stuff?"
Yeah.
And he just went, "Oh, yeah, forgot about you. I love Rick, by the way, because Rick was also in the video."
Yeah.
So then I sent him another video, me and Ariel in here, as we're warming up, doing lunges and whatnot. And he just sends back, why are you dressed like Where's Waldo?
No, he didn't say
No, where's Wally?
Well, I was doing it for the American audience, all right?
that.
Which
They
that
call
was
it
a
Where's
trip in
Waldo
of it.
over here, apparently.
Same exact everything, but it just says "Where's Wally." That melted my brain earlier.
He actually then sent me a Photoshop, which I don't
Can
believe
you
he
put it?
actually.
Send it.
I forgot to send it to the guys. Maybe I could.
Like it to Jordan.
By the way,
it looks exactly like I look now as well.
shout out to Tom Aspinall, a living legend.
Tom.
We love him. We love him dearly.
Shout out to our heavyweight champion. Gary.
This was for the U.S. contingent, Petesy, unfortunately. Just to correct the record, actually, as soon as you came in, I actually said, instead of what's your size, I said, I've got some bad news, Petesy.
Yeah, that's all.
You can order it online though and get it delivered.
But not for you.
All kinds of piss.
You know what's great? I always love when someone comes over to New York. It's a special place, New York,
Yeah.
right? New York is a special place. People have.
What are you doing? What the fuck is he doing? I'm perspiring. Why is it so warm in here? What the
Oh,
fuck
he keeps
is
it toasty.
Wow.
He keeps it toasty.
Wow.
Petesy, you
People
might
don't
need to
want
lose
to
that
just-
shirt at some
Oh
point.
my
It's
Paul
gonna get
Walter
hot.
Hauser part
It's
two.
stuck to me. This is fucking. What is wrong with you, man? Do you never think about your guests? This is uncomfortable.
No, he does
Who
not.
complained last time
Paul
about
Walter,
Paul Walter Hauser
you
took off
kidding
his
me?
shirt.
He
What did he
wasn't
complain?
complaining. He
Took
was
it off.
dying.
He was like, "Oh, what
He
happened?"
was dying.
He was like, "Oh, he was like this." Paul Walter. No, so people love New York. People get very excited when they're in New York because there's a lot. There's a lot to do. And I get a text earlier today.
What's this?
Where is it? Golly. I get a text. I should have had this prepared.
Petesy, the plastic cup. We got the Helwani show mugs.
Oh, I know. Yeah, we actually have. Oh, there it is. Shout out to Tom.
Looks exactly like me right now.
Jordan, side by side?
He's a talented motherfucker, that Tom Aspinall.
Okay.
ready?
Shout out to Tom.
What's-
By the way, we have our own mugs now. Look at this. Can I get? Yeah, look at that.
Oh, they're going to be
Beautiful.
crack mugs on Friday? That's
Yeah,
class.
That's nice.
Can't wait for the crack mugs.
See, Petesy, I got some more bad news about that.
Ah.
So
Crack ones weren't in the budget.
So he texts me. So PT texts me because he's excited. So every single stop, every single thing that he does is a big moment because in New York, you're walking, you're going to the local coffee shop, local bodega. He says, "How hard is my accent to understand? I got a bagel and they were calling out Kevin, then got a coffee and they were calling out David." And I'm like, I'm getting my daughter ready for camp. I'm entertaining this. It's like, all right, I'm sure it's a nice New York story. You came in. I'm like, no, your accent isn't that tough. Then I go on Instagram.
Yeah.
First slide, first story. I see this story from Petesy. I thought I had a fairly neutral accent these days. Ordered a bagel, and after 10 minutes of the lad calling out Kevin, I realized they were talking about me. Moments later, the same thing happens when I'm ordering coffee. The coffee lad was looking for David for the guts of 5 minutes.
It's tough.
My old BJJ coach, you even know into
Roger
this?
Dardis.
I didn't even keep
Shout out
reading.
Roger Dardis.
Once told me he
Marcelo
used to
Garcia,
go by
black belt.
Billy to avoid confusion. I may do the same from now. This is what we call in the business a subtle flex to let everyone know back home we're in the Big Apple.
Yeah, but you know what? You just didn't give me what I wanted.
Yeah.
If you had been engaged in that conversation and you had to give me a bit more, maybe I wouldn't have had to go to the internet. This is how girls end up on OnlyFans. You know what I mean?
yeah,
They don't
no.
get enough attention at home and they have to go off and get it somewhere else. Boys as well, getting their bangers out online.
Sure.
It happens with them too. Equal
And
opportunity.
then I'm like, you know what? Like, did you have to?
She's
share
been in
this story?
studio 13 minutes and
Yeah.
we were already talking about getting bangers out. Like this is
I'm not getting
incredible.
my bangers out, but OnlyFans could happen.
And then I go on X and I see a similar
No, same. Like,
copy paste.
copy
I
paste.
thought I had a fairly neutral. And so you felt the need to put this on all the platforms.
Well, I just wanted you to see them and realize that you didn't give me what I
Okay,
wanted you
okay,
to give
all
me.
right.
And I
This-
think you know now.
The same
This,
story.
this is just the hallmark of a good comedian. He's just working out the material. He gave you the first shot at it. You gave him a
Failed.
little bit of feedback, not the right feedback. He goes, "Oh, I have to adjust the joke, put it back out there." That's a banger. It hit.
Whoa. What happened there?
Before I could
Whoa.
even dap him up this morning, he told me this story.
Oh, he told you in person
And
too?
he readjusted it to how hard is my accent to how mean and rude are the people of New York.
Joe, I keep on trying to talk to everyone in New York, and they don't want to talk to me.
Why do you think that is?
Yeah. What,
This sounds like the beginning of
Yeah.
a stand-up routine.
They
This
don't-
is a
they don't
routine
wanna-
that
They
Petesy
don't want to
working
talk.
on.
Irish guy. Tell them about what the settlers did here. Tell them everything.
Yeah, we went down. We saw the Irish hunger, not famine, Frank. Not
Yeah,
famine.
yeah.
Hunger. Memorial yesterday. Battery City Park.
Yeah. Battery Park.
Battery Park City.
The battery.
The battery. Is that what the kids call it? Went down there
Literally
yesterday.
called the battery.
Battery Park City is a neighborhood.
It's
Yeah.
a bit wordy. Yeah, 1 million people. 1 million people from Ireland came over here during the Great Hunger in the 1800s.
Why did they come?
Because the potato blight was happening in Ireland.
Okay.
And
there makes me think that you don't know all the details.
Oh, I do. I'm being very careful what way I say it.
Sure, because then you'll get some feedback from back home.
So that happened. We were plowing the lands, and the British were taking our grains and cattle and sending them back to England. Meanwhile, we're all starving to death. Many came over here for a new life in New York City, and it's amazing when Katie Taylor fights. It's like a fancy St. Patrick's Day, because all of the Irish immigrants kind of get together and they have a big hoolie for this. I can remember the last time we were here. Was it
2022?
April, right?
Yep, April 30th.
And if you walked around Midtown after that fight, it was a magic night. Unbelievably brilliant fight. And this is terrible. What is the name of the guy who brought us backstage in Madison Square Garden and he led us into the locker room?
He works for MSG.
That's right.
PR guy, yeah.
And a guy who's been there for many, many years. And he told us afterwards, he said, this is one of the top 3 fights we've ever seen
it was incredible.
In this arena.
The atmosphere was amazing. It was half Puerto Rican, half Irish. And thus, this is why you are here, right? Not just to see us, not just to dilly-dally.
Yeah.
You're here to cover a little bit of both. You're here to cover the 3rd fight this Friday.
Yeah.
We all said it couldn't have happened without you being here. Like I told the powers that be at MVP, unless we know that Peter Carroll is going to be in the building like he was back in 2022,
I think it was a lot of the magic there that night was to do with me, if I'm being completely honest. But it was crazy. We went around Midtown afterwards, and it was like the afters of an Irish wedding. It was like all people wearing suits because they were trying to get fancy for MSG, but obviously shit-faced as well, all over the streets. It was an amazing night though, and the pride the Irish people have in Katie, and it's only a limited amount of fights you think left at this stage, so it's a big one. And I think that there's people a bit more cautious about it this time. Obviously 2-0 against Serrano. Why is she doing this? What is the need to do it this time around? So I think it could be one of the last times we get to see Katie, and I just hope they aren't going to keep doing this fight until she actually loses.
There it is. Shout out to Larry Torres, by the way, the PR guy who took us to the back. Legend. He was the one that you were referring to.
What a guy.
I can't wait for this fight. It's a huge deal, at least very, very selfishly for me. I've never worked at MSG. I've never worked a card at MSG. I've covered events there. I covered that one, but I've never been in the ring or anything like that. And you know what MSG means to me, home of the New York Knicks, 2026 NBA champions. And then I love this card. I love this fight. I was wondering though, from your perspective, since you followed her from the beginning, you remember watching when she won the gold medal in 2012, right?
Yeah, very much a fan though back then. You know, it's
where does this feel like the culmination? Does this feel as big of a deal as the 2022 fight or even the Paul Tyson fight? Is it being covered as much back home? Give us a taste of what the temperature is as far as, because you're right, there can't be more than 2 or 3 left max, if not this being the last one. What is the coverage like? What is the appetite for this back home?
These things, it's like any Katie Taylor fight. You know, last week you're hearing a few bits and bobs, but as it gets closer, everyone suddenly starts talking about it. I have friends who just got onto me today who are over in Toronto. They're going to make their way up.
Oh, nice.
I've been invited to 3 parties after the fight because all of the Irish that are coming in to see it. And even at the weekend, Saturday, the day before I left, it was my brother's birthday, my nephew's birthday, kind of have a joint birthday party, and everyone just starts talking about it again. I think the fact that this is on Netflix, it's going to be watched by everyone, of course. But there is a sense of the second fight, man, the way the commentary team with Rosie Perez and all that kind of stuff.
Won't be a part of it this time, by the way.
I know, but people were really pissed off. And
by the way, Moro's not a part of it. Rosie Perez is not a part of it. It's very much a different squad.
Right. Well, I think there's some negative sentiment about how that fight went down. No, not a fear as much as the way the fight is being framed is almost like that it was Serrano was robbed. And it's just an incredibly close fight. I don't think you can say it's a robbery. I understand people. If people are like, I scored it for Serrano, completely get it. But the idea that's being put across is nearly like, how did you get away with this one? When I think that's beyond the pale.
Sure.
I think it was an incredibly close fight. I think it's perfectly acceptable to have it score for Katie Taylor. I think Teddy Atlas had it score for Katie Taylor. I think Roy Jones Jr. did. I know I did. But you know, I might be slightly
I think it's a fascinating thing because you saw a glimpse of it at the press conference in April. This is the first time where it sort of feels like Katie's the heel. And I say that only because you're in New York at the presser MVP event. It very much sort of feels like an Amanda Serrano territory, and everything was going nice. Everything was cordial. Everything was friendly up until the point where Amanda starts talking about the 3-minute rounds and says, hey, we shook on it. You guys saw it. And then you saw Katie take a turn and go like, you're not going to get to dictate the rules of this fight. You don't get to pick. You're the challenger. You're down 0-2. We had never seen that side of her before. And then she starts to push back on this idea that like, hey, like you guys are trying to create this narrative that I'm dirty, that I didn't win those fights, that I didn't deserve to win those fights. I had never seen her get that sort of ornery. In fact, backstage, I saw her and she was like, I was like, Katie, where did that come from? This is not the usual Katie Taylor. And she's like, was that all right? Was that all right? I was like, yeah, of course it was all right. But that's just a more edgier, heel is even too strong of a term, like just sort of like gray character as opposed to the preacher's daughter, the choir, you know, like the patron saint character that we always see, who in the past wouldn't speak up. And in fact, at the press conference, multiple times she said, I have a voice. I'm allowed to push back. I'm almost like she's trying to convince herself that this is okay. It's okay to stand up for yourself, which I loved, but added a new dynamic to the rivalry.
Absolutely. And it's very rare, as you say, to see Katie worked up like this. And I wonder, I was trying to think of when we've seen it before. And I only rewatched the great documentary. I think it was made in 2016, Katie. It's on Netflix at the moment if you want to watch it. It's brilliant.
Not here. I've never been able to see it. It's not in America.
Oh my God.
You guys get different stuff.
Well,
they should put it out for this week.
Are you sure it's not?
I've looked recently, not yesterday, but I've looked recently and it wasn't there.
Someone check if it's... Anyway, there's this...
2018, I think it was out.
There's this scene in it. And she's sitting with the great Brian Peters and he's kind of like going, you know, things are going well. Like, there used to be a fear that like nobody would fight you. But now, like, it's because you're so big, people want to fight you. And there was this video of McCaskill, the boxer, who had a carton of milk with missing Katie Taylor on it. And it's a great scene because, say, I'm Brian Peters, Katie Taylor sitting here, he's on his laptop, and he's showing her, and he's like, look, like, isn't this good? And you just see her, like, completely locked in on the screen. Like, he's laughing, like, this is good, isn't it? And she's, like, locked in. And then he goes, no, but, like, you know, he suddenly realizes, oh, she's actually not too happy about this. And he goes, like, you know, like, it's good that she's a name and she wants to fight you. She's 5-1, you know? And then she goes, but how could she even say something like that to me? And that's the kind of thing I'm seeing back here. She's like, do you not understand boxing? You know, Southpaw v Orthodox? Like, do you really think a person who's a beacon of sporting brilliance, whose whole life is about purity and how she carries herself, being the integrity she carries herself with, you know, like this is a beacon for this stuff in Ireland. And then suddenly they're like, you're this dirty fighter who's trying to headbutt Serrano in this fight. I think that's where it's coming from. She's like, are you really serious? You think me, Katie Taylor, the person who women's boxing wouldn't be an Olympic sport unless it was for Katie Taylor. In 2007, she was brought to Chicago to fight in front of the IOC, the Olympic Committee, to see if it was a noble enough sport to make the Olympics. And she knocked the girl out in the first round. And therefore they said, let's put it in the 2012 Olympics. She's the reason why that's there. And suddenly like, oh, she's trying to headbutt someone all the time. Come on. I understand where she's coming from.
Yes. And by the way, Jordan telling me that it is on Netflix now. So this is great.
Check it out.
At least here in North America. I need to watch it this week because I've been wanting to watch it for years. That is incredible because I've definitely checked a few times, but obviously would make a lot of sense to have it available worldwide considering the fact she's fighting. We're going to talk about this fight card throughout the week. You're going to have a special edition of The Crack on Friday with some fellow journalists talking about it. So we'll have plenty of time to really dig deep. And there are multiple things. Actually, later today, I'm doing the face-to-face with them in Brooklyn, which I think will be fun. Open workouts at the Oculus, which you'll be attending, perhaps even covering for us on the Ariel and Ade program.
Okay.
I'll do it. What else are you doing? Wednesday press conference, which I'll be hosting. Thursday, by the way, weigh-ins live on Netflix.
Ooh.
Like not on the Netflix YouTube.
Oh, that's class.
Weigh-ins live on Netflix and then the fight Friday night. Can't wait for all of that. But let's get into some news and notes from this past week. I think the big one was it July 3rd or was it July 4th? It might have been July 4th. No, it was July 3rd. Yes, it was July 3rd. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, held a press conference to kick off America's 250th birthday celebration year. No, so like from this point forward, it will be a year-long celebration, and next year, 2026 will be 250, right? So they're doing a year-long celebration. And then he dropped somewhat casually in this press conference. It wasn't really a press conference. It was like a whole big celebration, which he spoke at, that they're going to have a UFC event. I think he said a fight at the White House in the back garden on July 4th, 2026. And then a couple of people look up and like, wait a second, July 4th, 2026. That's a Saturday night. Wow. By the way, even if it was a Thursday or Friday, who cares? They could have done it. But okay, that's nice. And then our old friend Greg Rosenstein of NBC News now reached out to the UFC, and they confirmed that this, in fact, is the plan to hold an event on July 4th, 2026 at the White House. Now, a lot of people have asked me, this can't be real. No, I really think that they're going to try to do it. Do they ultimately pull it off? I don't see why not. But this is not just a thing. This is not just a throwaway thing. They're actually going to try and do it. Subsequently, once this came out, you had the likes of Conor McGregor say, put me in. You had the likes of John Jones say, put me in. You had other fighters, American and non-American, say, put me in. Your thoughts on this idea? Do you like this idea?
I mean, it'd be the biggest spot MMA has ever been in ever, wouldn't it? Like, I mean, it's hard to be like, this would be great for the UFC, great for the sport. As we know, UFC/MMA is Trump's sport. We've talked about this, the different presidents. Some like baseball, some like basketball. 45-47 is an MMA guy.
Yeah.
And it's huge. And it doesn't surprise me that the likes of Jones and Conor are suddenly interested in being there. I mean, Conor had a massive PR pop when he arrived in the White House on Patrick's Day, and kind of became the catalyst for this political career he's embarking on. So, I mean, it would be a huge, huge deal. It kind of reminds me in theory. Do you remember Eddie Hearn was doing those matchroom cards out his back garden?
Oh, yeah.
Like in the middle of Essex? Yeah. It kind of reminds me of that. But could you imagine what that would look like just in terms of a spectacle? Like we talk about the spectacle of the sphere and stuff. Could you imagine that, like the White House in the background with the octagon?
Oh my God. Well, just the symbolism of, about 30 years ago, the sport being banned in the vast majority of this country, and then it's just like Florida and New Jersey. And then of course it's Nevada. And I mean, 10 years ago, it was still banned in New York. And to think that 10 years later, actually the symbolism of him being elected the same week as the first show at MSG, 10 years later, an actual event at the White House is pretty insane. And now, of course, everyone's trying to figure out, I mean, they even got odds, who's the most likely. Who knows? Who knows what the sport looks like? Who knows what anyone looks like a year from now?
Hang on. John Jones says he wants to come back. There's one fucking fight to make.
Can I just, why? Because it's the American versus the Brit.
Well, that's who said that in the message group? Was it Jordan? That was like suggesting it should be a Brit against the USA? Come on, that's perfect.
What kind of a, what's the word that I'm looking for? Is egomaniac the word?
Like me, you calling me an egomaniac?
You just left. And now, and even as recently as this morning, right? Didn't he have a tweet as recently as this morning teasing us? It feels nice to be the hunter and not the hunted for once. By the way, if this is in fact true, why didn't you give up the belt months ago so that you can feel this way? And oh, by the way, when you gave up the light heavyweight title, you were the quote unquote the hunter for 3 years. He gave up the light heavyweight title in the midst of the pandemic, and then they had the vacant title. Like, it's not like a completely foreign thing. And oh, by the way, he was stripped of the belt, and Daniel Cormier was the champion. So this idea that he's never been the hunter is ludicrous. But you just left, man. Like, but you want us to keep talking about you. You want us to keep saying, oh, come back, don't come back, the big fight. This is the behavior of what? An egomaniac?
Yeah, but like it's also like, that kind of thing where you're saying like he could have vacated, like that's been the thing the whole time. I remember Rick kind of making the argument a lot where like Pereira is potentially a bigger fight than Aspinall. And what we were saying at that time was like, yeah, have at it. Just get rid of the belt then. Like that was always the easy solve to this. So it kind of plays into the argument that he just really didn't want that Aspinall smoke as well. Like the fact that he's suddenly like, oh, I'm available now all of a sudden. You're like, well, that kind of plays more into the idea.
They could book that fight tomorrow.
Oh, Tommy,
do it for October.
Well, now if we have it in the White House lawn, I think we should keep it in the back burner. You know what I mean? What could possibly go wrong with a fight that everyone wants to see in the UFC? Huh?
No, 100%. And John fighting at the White House would, make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, he's a squeaky clean kind of guy. He represents our country so well. Yeah, listen, Tom's squeaky clean. He'd be great represent. Is that the birth of the American nation? Was that you and the Brits?
1776, yeah.
Was you squaring off with the Brits and then you got rid of them and then you were like,
well, when
America.
you say you, what do you mean? Because, of course, we also do represent the
You're
red
an
and
American
white.
citizen, sir.
That is true.
All right?
That is true.
That's
that
what
is
the
true.
other one there is.
Well, let's ask the actual true blue American citizens. What does it represent?
1776.
Yeah, July 4th.
That's the day that we declared our independence.
The Declaration of Independence.
Then we had to fight.
No. Well, yes.
You signed it, right?
Oh, wow. I was getting a bit of
Yeah.
shit for
Oh,
history
Johnny
earlier on today.
Hancock.
Who was
down
there?
on
Who was
that.
there? Who signed it? Tell us, GC. Who signed it?
Oh, there's plenty of names on there.
Yeah.
John Hancock,
Sam Adams,
Benjamin Franklin.
Benjamin Franklin,
Sam Adams was there. He brought the beers. Everybody
Yeah.
was like, "Come on now."
Sounds like a legend.
Thomas Edison.
No.
No.
Thomas Edison was alive in the 1900s.
He did the lights, right?
Yeah, he was not a founding father.
Yeah, right. Who were the founding fathers?
Washington,
Yeah.
Adams,
Lincoln.
Hamilton.
definitely not Lincoln. Franklin. Yeah, I mean, you had to pass the citizenship test. I got this just,
I mean, this should be
for
fresh.
being born here.
This should be fresh in the
ingrained.
head,
This should
mate.
be ingrained in your DNA.
Oh man,
James Tahuna. Yeah.
I don't think it happens. I don't think it happens.
You don't think it
Jefferson.
happens?
Thomas
No.
Jefferson.
Serious?
I'm serious. Yeah.
Why?
Why do you say that with such like disbelief that a UFC event, and I assume if it was taking place on July 4th of 2026, that would be like their International Fight Week,
Actually, no.
headlining the White House.
I think not.
I
You
think
think
they
the
do it
week
the week
after?
before.
Yeah, they do it end of June,
Okay.
International Fight Week, and then they do this the following week.
Mm.
Why is that such a crazy thought?
I think the crazy thought is them having a UFC event at the White House.
Ah, that's
Who
the
mentioned
magic of it.
25,000? Didn't someone mention like 25,000 people there?
No, fuck no. Listen, 250th birthday. This is going to be a huge deal throughout the country for the next year, right?
Yeah.
250. They're going to
agree.
do it up. They're going to have all kinds of celebrations. You don't think it's inconceivable that at some point they said, what could we do on the actual 250th
Class.
birthday? And they called up Dana White and they said, of course. Like, what would be so hard as far as actually pulling it off?
But-
Freaking NBA players show up there all the time. Like, what's the difference?
By the way, you don't necessarily need to do like the exact same thing. You could
do like a
two
two-fight
fights,
card.
3
Yeah,
fights.
yeah.
I think John Jones has to be involved because he's probably the biggest American star, right? Like he feels like the name.
No, Connor has to be involved.
Well, certainly Connor, but he's not American, right? I imagine
No
that
one
this
cares.
is intended to be a tribute to America in some regard.
Honestly,
but
if he's-
certainly Connor
It's
would
the
be
perfect
involved.
time for him to fight Michael Chandler.
It
too.
is the perfect time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but can he like the same thing we're talking? He hasn't been able to get through a fight camp in years.
No.
You know, like we can't just.
He's going to try. Listen, that part, we don't know how that turns out. But the fact that they're going to put it on to me, and by the way, now you have this thing that you can tell whatever broadcaster you're doing business with. Like, let's say they're talking to
That's
Netflix.
a nice one, isn't it?
Let's say they're talking to Netflix. July 4th at the White House, UFC. You don't think Netflix wants that as a one-off event?
We're
would
talking
be
about like
incredible.
they don't have special events. They don't have enough
Yeah.
special events like White House.
White House.
Yeah.
Okay,
Fuck.
do you have to put the Americans over though? Is
What is this,
it
work?
no, not a work, but do you have to book fights that?
Yes,
As
you
an
have to
example.
have Americans. You have to have
So that
Americans.
I don't
eliminates
think
Tom Aspinall
Michael
immediately.
Chandler and Conor
I think they
McGregor.
don't care. I think they just want to celebrate the sport, celebrate the country. With
What a great
some-
endorsement for the
No, but
UFC.
you gotta
more
have
than America at
Americans on
that
there.
point.
Man, there's not even an American champion as we discussed last week.
That's what I'm saying. You throw
Start it out,
John
lads.
Jones on there.
Start it out, America.
You can throw Kayla Harrison on there. if she sells
Kayla,
the
John
belt.
Jones.
Here's the part, by the way, here's the thing that you have to
Not them fighting each other for the record.
here's the thing that you have to balance. Tom Aspinall versus John Jones would generate a ton of money at the gate. Are you willing to lose that to put this
With
on?
your common sense bullshit ruining our White House.
I'm
party.
just saying. I'm just saying. Even the Connor one. Connor is a if it comes to fruition is a 25 million.
This
30
isn't
million.
about money. It's about freedom.
So is the fight? No, seriously, we're all talking about this. Is the fight maybe like a showcase? Honestly, don't laugh at me. Is it like a contender series card?
Oh, come on.
No way.
I'm serious.
way.
You can't go to the
I know
White
you're
House
serious.
with,
There's
with
no
a
way.
contender series card.
You would just
So
have
you're just
to
gonna give up? You're gonna give up that gate?
But he is thinking like
do it at the White
UFC,
House?
though. Like he is.
do it at the White House?
The
Yeah.
goodwill would be worth it.
You don't think it's like a Manel Cap
No.
headline
Stop.
event?
Are we going to get a poster from the White House event?
Donald Trump will have had to have heard of them.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
No,
I
don't-
imagine.
you said NBA players show up there all the time. Yeah, to like do the whole like here's the jersey, we won
Yeah,
the
yeah.
championship. Like to have sanctioned fights on the lawn of the White House is a totally different story.
I imagine there's going to be a vetting process in which the president is involved in signing off on the people who compete
Bo
on this
Nickel.
card. Yeah, you get Bo Nickel, you get Strickland, You get Colby.
Strickland feels like a bridge too far. A little, like
Why?
They want the squeaky clean white
Huh?
American boys, don't they? Isn't that what
Squeaky
they want?
clean?
Who's squeaky
Yeah.
clean?
Who's squeaky clean?
Like, it's gonna
Yeah,
be
You're
tough.
throwing out
It's gonna be
John
tough.
Jones out there.
Who, me? I didn't throw out John Jones. I
Rick's
said
throwing
John
out
Jones
John
is
Jones.
too much.
But
yeah.
why would they
want
want
John
squeaky
Jones.
clean? Why is that like a requirement? I don't feel like it is at all.
I don't think they want anyone that's going to bring any baggage.
What's the
Well,
best?
how can you have Connor on the card then?
Oh, yeah.
Trump did say this. He said that up to 25,000 people will be able to show up for the spectacle. There is no chance. I saw the
Okay,
White
well,
House like a month and a half ago. It
Contender
is tiny. It is the lawn is like a half acre.
Can I get
Should this be the
credential for
tough
this?
finale? Should they make this the tough finale?
Maybe they'll do it. What's that area where they had the
mall?
Yeah, the mall. The Million Man March and the
I mean, that
water.
would make it even more difficult. It's
where
that's
Jenny
such a
ran
public-
into the water to see Forrest.
Jenny.
Yeah, that's just such a public area.
They can't block that off.
I'm sure they can, but now this is starting to feel Times Square-esque.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that was actually a letdown.
Right.
That
You
was
just
a
throw it on the lawn. It'll
Okay,
be
so
fine.
here we are. It's July. We're going to remember this. July 7th, 2025. What's our vote? Is there an event that happens on July 4th, 2026?
100%
Yes.
yes.
No,
Rick says yes.
100%?
Rick
No.
says yes.
100%
Connor says no.
yes.
Yes.
I say yes.
They're
So-
warming up in the Lincoln bedroom? Is that what's going to be happening?
Frank, what do you say? What do you say, Frank? You're the decider.
I feel like we gotta.
We got it. That's not really an answer, but it's either yes or
It's
no.
like he throws into AI how he
Yeah.
can respond with the fewest possible
yeah,
words.
Yeah.
I think it's too much of an opportunity. I think, honestly, Dana White to do this at the White House.
They're going to make a mini doc.
Think of how excited
Move heaven
Dana
and
gets
earth.
about
I can't believe
Fight
I'm the-
Island, Sphere. This is another version of
Yeah.
that. It will get him excited.
And it's also, as Ariel said, a great bargaining chip. Like, if we had one thing that we were like, could play against the UFC here, it's the monotony of a lot of these events. Like, they don't have any, big, like, this is so different, and this is the one you got, our I guess, International Fight Week is the WrestleMania, but they need more things, more eye-catching events. This is the biggest thing they'll ever do in terms of that, like, spectacle.
Yeah, you want to know how big it is? You want to know how I found out? My mom texted me.
Yeah. Oh, I had a
She's
ton
like-
of people.
She's like, yo, DT said we're doing
I had a
UFC
ton of people
fights at
ask
the
me,
White
is
House.
this real? Are you going to go?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to go.
I can't believe I'm the most pessimistic one about it.
Yeah, I'm surprised
Yeah,
as well.
GC, I thought this would you'd be all over this, man.
Just logistically, this is
Do you think there's any chance they do
difficult.
this as International Fight Week? No chance, right? They'll just do the 28th.
You're
or
going
whatever that
International Fight Week straight into White House?
huge couple weeks. Why not?
I feel like
I'm in.
the UFC does their own production. This would be hellacious on the crew if they tried to do those back to back.
Man.
Also hellacious on the roster. How do you have enough big fighters to make that happen?
I just
Also,
think, I
do
think
you
he's
s-
right. Two fights,
If
three fights.
if people know that they're about to watch a free big fight on the White House lawn, let's presume that it's going to be free, right? Let's presume it's not on pay-per-view. Then you can't sell people the International Fight Week card the week before. They'll just watch the free one. They'll just skip it.
No, this is a special event. This
Like, fuck.
Yeah,
wasn't that
they'll
you
watch
put-
that.
You put
that-
this on ABC if you're still in bed with ESPN. You put this on Netflix.
That's what I'm saying.
is
They're
a
not going to
celebra-
pay for the other
We're putting
one.
it on ABC and no gate?
And by the way, July 4th, 2026 is going to be a celebration. It's probably going to be among many different things that happens. Like why maybe they'll have Cody Rhodes go up against Roman Reigns and they'll have a Beyonce concert. It's going to be like the biggest party of all time. 250 years. So when was the last time this happened? What's 50 years?
Bicentennial in the 70s.
What,
Yeah, 1976.
1976. None of us were around. Oh, Frank, what was it like? Tell
Oh,
us.
well, the weather was nice.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be Debbie Downer, but
No.
like this conversation reminds me of when they were going to have the boxing match at Times Square, and
And?
we had all these great ideas, and then we saw where it ended up. So I'm just like, let's manage our expectations. Like maybe there are 25,000 people, but they're across the street.
That part I don't believe. 4 or 5 fights on the lawn, July 4th, a Saturday night. I believe it.
If you're the president, if you're the White House, if you're anybody involved in this, you want it to be 25,000 people. You want it to be mob.
I just don't think you can actually fit 25,000 people. That's the problem.
I think they'll figure out a
On the
way to
White
make
House
this.
grounds, too. Come on, the security
tiny.
there is insane also.
Yeah.
It's going to be incredible. No, let's not act like it's going to be like ticketed fans. This is going to be like friends and family of people. It's
I mean,
it's gonna be,
the landscaper's nightmare. You have a bunch
Oh.
of people. You got an
Someone think about the
octagon getting
landscape.
built on the lawn.
So before
People
the
just
show,
trampling your grass.
I was like, man, let's try to let's try to build the perfect card. Let's try to build it. This would be so much fun. And then I was like, fuck, our thunder has been stolen because there's Don Davis just giving us the perfect card on social media. He literally he served up the perfect card. You didn't see this. There it is. MMA at the White House. Great idea. Donald Trump, July 4th, 2026. PFL has wow fight card for MMA fans to celebrate USA 250th anniversary. PFL afternoon, UFC in the evening. And so here's the card in case you missed it. Francis Ngannou versus Vadim Nemkov. Usman Nurmagomedov versus Paul Hughes. So we're going to have to wait a whole other year for that fight. Dakota Ditcheva against Liz Carmouche. And Bruno Ferreira versus Goltov. And then on the prelims there, I believe that's Johnny Eblin versus Corey Anderson. My eyesight is getting a little worse here. Cyborg versus Pacheco and AJ McKee against Pinedo. What do you guys think? White House USA. They whipped it up in a jiffy.
The USA chants for Liz Carmouche are going to be deafening.
Yeah, well, I think she actually was born. Wasn't she born on a Marine base back in the day? And
who asked you, Don? Do you know what I mean? Who the fuck asked you, Don? With all due respect.
Wait a minute.
Right? You know?
Also,
that's our boy.
I love the idea of they're going to have a smart cage on the lawn, tear that down, put in an octagon all in the same day. We're hoping for maybe 2-3 UFC fights. Now Don's booking 7 fight cards. Like,
this is
the prelims. It's like, come on.
Can I tell you what?
Can we just acknowledge this is a great card? Just make this card. Just do the card. Why do we need to do this?
Can I just say that was my takeaway? I'm like, you know what? On paper, this is actually like a really good card. What is stopping PFL from making this card right now? Make it. Put it together. Are any of these people tied up right now? I know, like one may have a fight coming up. Like you actually,
Liz is in the tournament, right? That's about it.
If you were in the business of just putting together the best fight cards, that should be one of your cards.
Yeah, well,
that should be a tentpole event in September, October.
Yeah, it's
and they would do it in Saudi Arabia with 4 people in attendance. But still, we all love it.
I just wish they'd make one fucking fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it.
You'll take one of those, any one of those,
make the fight. It is like, what are we doing? What is this? Do you know what is going on? Paul Hughes out in Belgium. I was like, there's got to be some clarity. Gonna get some clarity here. What did we get? A social media post from Paul. Paul pushing it again. You know what I mean?
We got the duck picture again.
I mean, fair play. But what are you doing? Like, we have 1 week. There's another thing getting. There's another. Yeah, look, fair play to you, Paul. I love Paul. You know, I love Paul. And look, it's him pushing it again. I think about a month ago they had someone else saying he's sending his message. It was Archie Colgan. He's sending his message. He's moving. He thinks he deserves to be ahead of Paul. And then we had the coach incident. We don't want to get into that again. All right. Where the coach was saying, don't listen to what the PFL say, listen to what I say. What's going on? Come on, lads. Like, there's all types of conversations going on. People are afraid Usman's out of contract next year, and if we avoid this one fight now, it's going to be gone. PFL, that's the fight to make. That's the one everybody wants to see. You just look at the UFC. Like, if you want to keep comparing yourself to the UFC, Don, look at what happened to the 2 fights the UFC wanted this year. They're gone. Didn't happen. Now, at least they have the White House to redeem everything next year. Yeah. But, I mean, Aspinall and Jones, gone. Ilya and Islam's probably gone. Like, we can all say, oh, but what if happens? It's probably gone. Like, that's the reality of the situation. You have to strike while the iron's hot. Everybody wants to see this fight. I thought there'd be an announcement at Belgium. Belgium, very good card, was available in the US.
On the app.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
There's actually a ton of great stoppages, finishes.
Yeah.
See that spinning back elbow?
Yeah, quality, yeah.
Incredible.
But, like, they're doing great things in Europe. This is what I've been telling you for ages. Like, the European product is unbelievable.
Yeah.
They're selling out places. That was a sellout crowd in Belgium. That's a new place. The UFC have never been to Belgium. That Patrick Habarora guy in the main event is absolutely unbelievable. They had a lot of prospects on the card, undefeated guys. Like, they're tapping into these areas, and they're doing unbelievable work. But on the global side of things, they have this one fight everybody wants to see, and they're playing tiddlywinks over it. Like, what's going on?
I think we have the spinning back elbow. Do we have that? Hey, look at this. Bah! Like, we need to remember these in December because there's no chance I'm actually going to remember this in December. But that's a knockout of the year right there, contender. Is it not?
It's a beauty.
Look at this. God, that's one of the nicest spinning back elbows I've ever seen. Reminiscent of Yair versus Zombie, but Zombie went up. Remember that?
Yes.
Look at that. And there was a ton. Danny Roberts had a vicious knockout against him, right?
Danny Roberts, lost in the main event against Patrick Habarora. A guy with
Hot chocolate.
He'd been training with Ian Gary as well. Like they've been doing it. Danny Roberts is a great guy. Like he trained in Liverpool, then he went over to Florida and trained there. A guy who I feel a lot of people don't think he ever reaches his full potential because he was a great boxer before he went into MMA as well. But in terms of Javi Rohrer, like this great KO artist, Roberts was served up as the perfect foil. You know, this is a guy who's going to come in and try and take your head off. That's exactly what he did with a big head kick. And look, this is another guy. Do you remember when I went to see, and I know I bring this up all the time and I apologize, when I went to see Cedric Doumbé in France, and I was texting you and I said,
what was the name of the arena again?
The Accor Arena.
Yeah. On what street?
Rue de Bercy.
Yeah.
All right. But there was a Belgian kid on that card, and I texted you that night going, there's a lad after walking out here from Belgium, and you swear like he lived in this arena. Like the place went absolutely crazy. That was Patrick Habarora, and they have another guy now. So they have Doumbé, Hughes, Dakota, and this guy now. Like,
PFL Europe operates as a different entity than PFL in the sense that in the sense that they book for the market.
Yes.
And it's like, oh wow, what a great idea.
Put on good fights
and with local stars in front of their partisan crowd, and the place is electric, and you're building people off of that. Like, oh, isn't this?
And it's real boots on the ground. Like I've told you before, the obscure teams I've talked to, they'll be like, just off the phone with Dan Hardy. Do you know what I mean? Like he's ringing every corner of these territories, looking for different guys. And the guys he's picking, like I'd never heard of that dude, Habarora, and he's a huge deal now. You know, he's doing this endlessly, and I don't know. I feel I've said it before when the coach went out and did that press conference. I was like, Dan Hardy's right there. Like this is a guy, proven track record. You can't get a guy who's more beloved in Europe than this guy. He was the best signing they made when PFL were going out with this stuff. We said at the time he was the best guy, and I think he's over-delivered in his role. I really do. When you consider what's happening in all these different regions, I think he's over-delivered, and I think putting him out as like a guy who's talking to the media, who's talking to the fan base, I think that would help a lot, because even if you weren't going to make that fight, at least you could put Dan Hardy out there who understands. Like, I know this is the fight you're going to make. This is the way we're going to see it. Like, just explain to us what is happening if this is not happening. And we still don't know. And it's getting very irritating. If you're looking for an edge over the UFC, it's making the fights that people want to see, making them happen. You have the power to do it. Go ahead and do it.
Couple other bits. Congratulations to Molly McCann signing with Matchroom.
Crazy.
I did not see this coming.
Oh,
did you?
Not at all. You sent it to me, I think. I was like, what?
I couldn't believe it. Yeah. I thought she was going to take a break. She recently retired from MMA and the UFC. And then there she is. By the way, shout out to Matchroom. They revamped their entire press conference format. New logo, new branding, but like they've changed. The whole format is different. The way it's all laid out. And then the weigh-ins are completely different. And that interview on Thursday was a part of the press conference where they went off to the side. And there's Eddie Hearn with Molly saying, I'm getting into boxing.
Yeah, I didn't see it coming either. She's cousin of Katie Taylor's.
That's right. I wonder if she'll be here.
I think they look quite similar. I've always said it. I can remember years and years ago, Molly said that to me before she made it public, and she's like, I'm so embarrassed. Like, don't tell anyone.
Why would she be embarrassed?
She was embarrassed that she thought that if she put it out there, people would think she was trying to ride her coattails or clout chase or anything like that. And I think when they met each other, she said to Katie, like, oh, auntie, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no way. You know, straight away got on with her. The thing about Molly is she moves people. People care. I've been in Liverpool. They love her, man. I can remember I was saying this to you when I was in Liverpool. I didn't hear a bad word about Paddy or Molly while I was there. Everybody, even if no matter what team they support, they like that how they represent Liverpool. And she definitely does that. I think it's a great gift for Matchroom. I think there's plenty of space in women's boxing for personalities like that people who will force their eyeballs on the sport. And all the best with it for her. Like, I hope it goes well. And I think what she said in the interview was she had some options as well with BKFC.
Really?
Bare knuckle, certainly bare knuckle options. So I think this is a better option. I'd much prefer to see her doing this than bare knuckle. And she's boxed before. Before she was in MMA, she wanted to be a boxer. So this is her chance to live out her dreams.
By the way, speaking of Liverpool, Diogo Jota.
Oh my God. What a tragedy.
Awful. Sick
feeling like when you see something like that.
I woke up and I saw that. I was like, what?
Oh.
This guy, prime of his life, just got married 10 days prior, 3 beautiful kids, beautiful family, a huge part of the Liverpool team that just won the Premier League, 28, right?
Yeah, like with his brother as well.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. He just kind of reached this zenith in his career. Like he become the Premier League champion. He won the Nations League with Portugal.
Yeah.
Everything's coming up.
Got
Jota,
married 10 days ago.
Yeah, and the thing about Jota is, and I have a lot of friends who are Liverpool fans. I would say he's always been the diehard fans, one of their favorites.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you're gonna think Mo Salah, right?
Yeah.
When you think about guys like
Van
on the
Dijk.
team. Exactly.
Yes.
Not these guys. But he's he speaks to like the hardcore fan.
Yeah.
Like an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer from Manchester United, the guy who won us the European Cup. His last goal against Everton.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. I heard some broadcasters speaking about him last week. Second captains, I've mentioned it quite a few times. I love a football show. I love. And they were saying he was also a world-ranked FIFA player.
Oh, is that why his celebration is him with the controllers? Oh, wow.
And he said they actually played the game of football like he was like playing a game of FIFA. Like he had all these chop-style passes, and the way he attacked the goal was very like how a gamer would rather than a football player. But really just devastating news. And I can't remember any football player dying in their prime like that. Like tragically being taken.
So this story reminds me a lot of Drazen Petrovic.
I don't know.
Do you know him? He was a player on the New Jersey Nets. Great basketball player, really coming into his prime. Croatian player who died in a car accident in Germany in 1993. And this is before there were a lot of European players in the NBA. Incredible three-point shooter. Had a cup of coffee with the Trailblazers, but really came into his own in the early 90s in New Jersey, and was on those teams with Tony Kukoc and all these guys, and was a sharpshooter. And then I remember reading in the newspaper in 1993 that he died in a car accident. He was in Germany on vacation, and tragically died. This is the closest thing to that, in my opinion. And Jota probably a little bit further along in his career, and just hard to come to terms with, especially when you start to see all the photos and everything. Beautiful stuff from Oasis, paying tribute to him at their first concert on Friday. Yeah, man, with the big mural, giving me chills talking about it. But yeah, that was awful. And I know that you were locked in on all the Oasis content like I was.
I can't even look at it.
Well, this is the thing, guys. PT loves Oasis. I love Oasis.
Team Blur.
They are stop it. Song 2. They are coming to Dublin, and he's refusing to go. Why are you refusing to go?
It's not that I'm refusing to go. It's that I can't go. Do you know what?
And then as a result, you're not watching any of this content. By the way, you can watch all the concerts so far. I think there have been 2.
Don't even pretend it's the same thing. It's not the fucking same thing.
You get to hear like
the pro audio of Slide Away being released. That got me. But then it upsets me so much. Not to take the story back to Tom Aspinall.
Oh wow!
I've told you about this. So
that's right.
Aspinall, fucking Flash Harry Aspinall now, with celebrity friends, happens to be, close acquaintances with one Noel Gallagher of Oasis, and he was saying this somewhere, or someone was saying it to him. They had heard that they were friends, and he was kind of brushing out, being coy about it or whatever. And I randomly texted him one day. I was like, I don't think you're actually mates with him. And he was like, what are you talking about, man? He's like, nah, I text him a bit, like, the fights are on, like, he'll always give me a text and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, nah, I don't believe you. I'll tell you how I would believe you, though. If you manage to get me 2 tickets for the Dublin gig, I believe you then. So, Tommy, you may not have got me the old champion t-shirts, but please get me the tickets.
Oh, my gosh. I love it. Take me to a place where you know.
It's like he's in the room.
Where nobody knows. If it's not okay. Sing with me, Frank. Please don't put your life in the hands of a rock and roll band.
This is like the pro audio I was talking about earlier.
And throw it all away. Which is your favorite?
Supersonic.
Really?
Yeah. Give me gin and tonic. You can have it all, but how much do you want it?
Oh, they're so good. I think mine is Don't Look Back in Anger.
Really? The one you were just singing a second ago?
Wonderwall. She's my
This is like being like fucking... Come on. This is like Wannabe being your favorite Spice Girls song.
Today is gonna be the day that we're gonna throw it back to you.
It's a basic selection, Ariel.
Oh
you need to pick a different one.
I have all the hits. I have the hits. By now, you should have somehow. Come on,
what's
Frankie.
What's your favorite Oasis album? The greatest hits.
Yeah, the greatest hits. The Apple, the premium playlist. Shout out to them. Also, I did want to mention.
Can you not, like, you're a big deal. Can you not text one of them and say, fucking Pete, you need some tickets, man?
Liam or Noel?
Whichever
I'm a
one.
little tighter with Noel. These
Yeah,
days,
we'll give him a
just
text.
little
will you?
bit.
Fucking
They're
hell.
actually coming to MetLife end of.
Well, I'll fly out,
end of
no
August.
problem.
Would be nice.
I'll come back.
You'd come back.
Yeah,
You do that for us.
if you get if you get the fuck.
It wouldn't be the same. You got to see them in Europe. I feel
Why?
like. I don't know. Just feels like.
I'm willing to take the
Why
trip.
was the first stop in Cardiff? Because of Principality Stadium? I thought it would be in Manchester. No.
No, last one in Manchester, isn't it?
Oh, is that where they ending it?
I think so. yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh wait, no, hang on. Manchester's this weekend.
Yeah. Why they go to Cardiff first?
I don't know.
Site of Clash at the Castle 2. I went there.
Maybe that's why. Maybe they're big WWE guys.
I did want to mention there was a young man named Jeff Brady who works for PFL, also does some work for Cage Warriors and Bellator as well. Horrific story. I don't know if you guys saw this. I mean, actually, a lot of awful stories this weekend. That summer camp in Austin, and then all the people. Have you heard of this?
Oh, I didn't hear.
Horrendous floods and some young children unfortunately passing away, and some people outside of the camp as well. Horrific stuff. But anyway, this young man named Jeff Brady, his brother Greg, also working in the MMA business, has worked for Bellator, PFL, Cage Warriors. Apparently, as I've seen online, jumped to save a couple of kids in a river, and unfortunately lost his life as he succumbed while trying to save these young kids. He drowned himself. This is his brother Greg posting this about Jeff, his twin brother. Today I lost my twin brother, my best friend, my other half, and now my hero. In an act of incredible bravery, he gave his life, saving 2 young boys from drowning at the place both of us call our little slice of paradise, the lower river. That's who he was, selfless, fearless, and always putting others before himself. He didn't think twice. He saw someone in need, and he acted just like he always did. There are no words to describe the pain of losing someone who has been a part of me since the beginning. We shared everything, laughter, struggles, dreams, and memories I'll hold on to forever. My heart is broken, but I also am incredibly proud of the man he was and the hero he'll always be remembered as. Please keep our family and the love of his life, Ellen, in your prayers as we try to make sense of his loss. I'm in shock, and it hasn't hit me yet with the full force that I know will be coming. If you knew him, honor him by living with the same courage and kindness he showed every day. Having gained a Viking angel, rest easy, brother. You'll always be with me. And seen a ton of tributes in his honor, and there's a PFL posting about him. So I wanted to mention Jeff. Awful stuff. Who's been in the MMA business for a very, very long time. So yeah, some tough news.
Though, right?
Yeah, unbelievable. Some tough news this weekend. Shout out to the chat, also reminding me of Johnny Goudreau and his brother who passed away last year in that car accident. As they were another horrific story, as they were riding their bikes the day before their sister's wedding and were hit by a drunk driver. So important to appreciate and be grateful for everything that we have. While also sending out our love to those who are suffering. You did have a great article on uncrowned.com about the Conor McGregor appeal.
Oh yeah,
that is ongoing. What could you tell us about the status of that?
Oh well, basically, there was a lot of press in Ireland about this new evidence that was coming out that 2 former neighbours of Nakita Han, that's the person who successfully sued Conor McGregor for 2018 sexual assault. He was appealing that, obviously, but what came out after the decision was made there was that there was these 2 new witnesses, former neighbours of Hans, that had seen an interaction take place from their bedroom. The woman, I believe her name is Samantha O'Reilly, said she saw an incident take place, and these quotes were published by the Sunday World, but her view was obscured because obviously she's looking into a house. She said she saw Stephen Redmond, her then partner, push her to the ground and attempt to hit her. She said she couldn't see any blows being landed because of the restricted access the window gave her. That was all published beforehand, and then it was withdrawn on the morning of the trial.
Oh.
And Hans' legal team were basically said, like, this is crazy. Like, this has been out in the public sphere. We should be able to cross-examine them. They suggested that there should be an inquest by the DPP, that is the Director of Public Prosecutions. The Director of Public Prosecutions are the people who did not prosecute Conor for the crime, which is why it ended up in the civil court. But they said it should be referred to them. The 3 judges who were overseeing the appeal have pushed those 2 people, Samantha O'Reilly and Stephen Cummings, I believe her partner's name is. They should be inquested for perjury. He also suggested that that McGregor should be looked into as well. But as far as we know at the moment, and as far as what spokespeople have told the Irish Mirror, only Samantha O'Reilly and Stephen Cummings are being investigated for perjury by the DPP. But crazy stuff to happen on the first day of that appeal.
Damn. And so how long is that expected to last? Like, what is the...
We thought we would have an answer on July 3rd because the court had laid out July 1st to 3rd, I believe it was, for the whole appeal process. But because this spanner has been thrown in the works, I don't know if the appeal court are going to wait for the DPP's determination on this to push forward. If they do, that could take a very long time. You know, as we know, the hand situation was 2018. I think it was 3 or 4 years before she got an answer as to whether they were going to go. I don't know how this works. If there is any updates, we'll let you know on the show. But yeah.
Or on uncrowned.com, where you've done a great job of covering all of this. Also, this weekend on uncrowned.com, mid-year awards for MMA, boxing, and pro wrestling. Shaheen cracking the whip. What
about Shane? Does he not get enough credit? That fucking website, by the way.
Yeah,
Can I just say, who else is doing this?
No one.
The best. Who's keeping journalism alive in mixed martial arts? Chuck Mendenhall, dare I say, in the greatest form of his life. And this is the one of the greats, right? The great all time, like maybe the greatest all time. Ben Folks.
Ben Folks is on fire.
Unbelievable.
Chuck and Ben, the resurgence of Chuck and Ben, one of the great stories of 2025, if you ask me.
They happen to be guests on a show every Friday.
I
don't know what's anything to do with it.
I do think a little crack in their life has really upped the ante. No, the three of you have found that secret sauce. You have found that connection, that camaraderie.
And Shaheen has done that with the website, though. My God. I was shitting myself when I started writing again.
Yeah, no, trust me. We all knew that. You made it very well known.
He's got me back into good form, but I'm miles behind the likes of Chuck and Ben. Drake cranking out everything as well. The team is just unbelievable.
Darshan, everyone's on fire. You are on fire. You're going to be with us all week.
Yes.
You'll be back tomorrow. Look at this guy. Look at that smile. Are you doing a meet and greet?
Did one yesterday.
Okay.
Got a bit out of hand.
Okay.
Didn't get enough security. People pulling my clothes off and everything.
Okay. Well, you'll be on the program tomorrow. You'll be on the Ariel and Ade program.
Yeah. Ade must be buzzing about that, isn't he?
No, he's big. Yeah. He's a big PT guy. He's a big fan of the crack. You'll be on Wednesday's program. Thursday, Boys in the Back. I don't know if they're using you. They haven't talked about it yet.
I tried to.
If they're utilizing
GC, I'll be. He's like, yeah.
And then you sit in the big boy chair on Friday.
Yeah.
Before heading off to MSG.
You're a bit. I noticed that some things were out of place. Like, what would happen if I
just. As long as you keep it all in order, we'll be fine.
It won't be good. It won't be good. PT actually really did do that earlier.
What? Oh, he moved the...
No. He was like, on Thursday. I mean, if you guys want to use me or not, it is what it is. I'm in New York for the week.
Everyone just quiet.
Yeah. I'll be here.
Our people will talk to your people.
Yeah. PT, this has been fantastic. Please, don't be a stranger. But you don't have to go home. You got to get the hell out of here. There he goes, everyone. Can we get some music for him? Same music that he entered with? There it is. Yes, there it is. Oh, look at that. Look at that zoom out by Brad. Thank you. That was very nice of you. Thank you. Tremendous stuff from Petesy. Well done, Petesy. We love you. He's going to talk to 8 people on the way to the control room back there. He could probably still hear me, for all I know. All right. Great stuff there from Petesy. Back into the show, we're going to be joined by Nakisa Bidarian, the co-founder of Most Valuable Promotions. Prior to that, we'll be joined by Josh Van. Can't wait to talk to him. And then prior to that, Frank Mir and Bella Mir, the father-daughter duo that are taking the world of combat sports by storm. But now, my friends, we have the great honor of being joined by an absolute legend of the game. I mean, it's really unbelievable what this man accomplished in the world of combat sports in his own right, excluding, some of the exhibition tough man contests, a boxing record of 77-10-4 with 58 knockouts, an MMA record of 17-10-1 with 8 knockouts, and a kickboxing record of 3-4 with 2 knockouts. In total, 97-24-5 with 68 knockouts. And again, that's not including those tough man contests, which really put him on the map many, many moons ago. He has transformed his life in large part due to the help of the one and only the inimitable Diamond Dallas Page, and perhaps is itching for another fight or two. He is the man known as Butterbean, a.k.a. Eric Esch, and he is kind enough to join us right here now. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's a great honor to speak to you. And, it's July 4th weekend that has come and gone. You were synonymous with those shorts. You've transformed your life. I thought this would be a great time to have the one and only Butterbean on the program. And congratulations on everything that you have done to transform your life. If we would have talked about, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, could you have ever imagined that you'd be feeling like you are now, walking like you do now, and being as active as you are now?
No, I was in a wheelchair. I mean, I was like pretty much bedridden. I couldn't do nothing. I mean, I was like 500 something pounds and like not mobile.
How much do you weigh now?
Right now, about 280.
280. What's the lowest you've been as an adult?
280.
280. This is it.
As a teenager on, I've never been under 300.
Wow. And so what has been the secret?
You know, the DDP program, it helped me out so much. It's opened so many doors for me also. Lucky Energy Drink actually seen my recovery, and they said, you know, with somebody that's so dedicated and getting back in shape, it's a true story of the American dream. To be able to do something nobody thought you could do.
This footage that we're looking at here, courtesy of the DDP Yoga YouTube channel, how long ago is this? Where you couldn't walk, where you were hunched over?
A year and a half, 2 years ago, tops.
And how did you meet DDP?
Well, I've known Dallas for many, many years, but I was doing a podcast and we had him on as a guest. Me, Boss, Rootin, Flex Wheeler, we had him on as a guest. And it just blew up. And he said he was going to do a show, and Flex said, you got to have Butterbean on there. And that's how it happened.
And so when you did that podcast with him, what year was that?
It's been about 3 years ago. Yeah.
And what was the state of your life at that point? Like, could you move?
I was depressed. I was down. I didn't believe in myself anymore. I believe in myself again. That's the most important part in life. You have to believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself, you can accomplish anything.
And so when you do this, he probably invites you out to come train with him and do the yoga and say that I can transform your life. Did you believe him, or did it take some time for you to believe?
Well, I actually went and lived with him for 4 months, and then I went back and stayed for 4 months more.
Wow.
To get more.
What did you think initially when he said, yeah, come do the yoga with me, this will help you? Did you believe right off the bat?
I said, I'm not doing no damn yoga. I mean, I'm not a yoga kind of guy, but it's not really yoga. It's yoga on steroids, and it's basically stretching and like, I can't explain it. You'd have to just get on the site and check it out.
Sure. And if you don't meet up with DDP, if you don't go live with him, if you don't do the yoga and do all of this, where do you think you're at right now in July of 2025?
Man, I'd still be in a bed, 500 something pounds, not moving around. And, you know, so many good things happen. You know, this is my recovery, the evolution of Butterbean.
Incredible.
You know, I went from a chair to walking to moving better. Now I'm running. So it's like, it's a miracle. And a lot of things have happened since then because of getting back in shape. Matter of fact, this happened. This is too cool. It's a new energy drink out by Lucky.
Look at you.
Butterbean, I got my own energy drink. Is that too cool or what?
Wow, that is unbelievable. Look at that. Only 800 ever made. Special edition Butterbean cans.
I think they sold out quick, but there's so many other Lucky flavors like peach and tropical thrill. But I do have something for you.
Tell me.
I got something for you. I seen your desk, so I had to,
oh, wow. I would love that.
I'm going to get your address. I'll send that to you. That way you got me on your desk.
Oh, that's incredible. I love that. I mean, I've been watching you for so long, since the 90s, the Brawl for All, you versus Johnny Knoxville in the department store, all the great fights. You're a legend, and I'm so happy to see the big smile on your face, to see you all healthy. So what as far as like your workouts, as far as your day-to-day life, can you do anything, or are you still limited?
No, I'm 100% back, going strong. I'm telling you what, the DDP and the Lucky Energy drink, between both of them, it's got my life back on track. And I mean, I'm just so happy and blessed to be here, and thankful to all the people that's helped me.
Are you really trying to fight Jake Paul? What's going on here?
Oh man, I want to fight Jake so bad. When I was in my wheelchair, Jake said some nasty stuff about me. Butterbean's a joke. Butterbean's this. Butterbean's that. In magazines, like, I'm like, dude, what can I do about that? Nothing. I couldn't do nothing about that. But when I started getting healthy again, I'm going, you know what? I'm going to push myself until I'm able to knock him out.
So
and guess what? I'm here.
He's been sort of like the pot at the end of the rainbow here. He's been the motivation.
Exactly. I mean, just to prove to myself that if I believe in myself, I can accomplish anything. And to get down to 285 pounds, that's a huge accomplishment. Seeing I've been there maybe in the 4th or 5th grade, I was 280.
Wow.
And I'm not joking. I'm dead serious about that.
Realistically, though, I mean, not that long ago, like you said, you were unable to get out of bed, 500 pounds, wheelchair, all that stuff. He is a young guy. He's about 30 years younger than you or so, is hitting pretty hard these days.
I hit so much harder than he does. That's why it would be such a great fight. I mean, I'll be honest, Tyson fight thing, I think was the biggest BS. I'm sorry, I know Mike real well, but I think it was BS. Just because he's an older guy don't mean he couldn't have knocked Jake out. I would take it to him. He wouldn't know what to think.
When you say BS, what do you mean by that?
BS stands for bullshit.
No, I know that, but are you saying are you saying it was a work? What do you imply? Just or that it was a bad fight?
I don't see how Tyson didn't stop him. I don't know unless Jake is that much better than I thought he is. He's not a bad fighter. He's come so far from when he started. When he was talking bad about me, he was horrible. He's got a lot better now, and it would be a good fight. I mean, I think it'd be a very competitive fight for me. But I know I can take him, and he thinks he can take me. So that's what would make a good fight. Me knowing I can knock him out and him thinking he can knock me out.
If not Jake Paul, you're not interested in resuming your fighting career at this point, are you?
I don't want to resume it. I just want to have one more fight. And people you don't have nothing to prove. I don't have nothing to prove but to myself. And I've had so many letters from people that have seen what I've done. And they've contacted me, want to know, what can they do now? And I've given them hope. So if I can come back and have one more fight, it's going to give that many more people hope that they can believe in themselves, so they can accomplish anything.
Does that one more fight have to be against Jake or anyone at that point?
It don't have to be against Jake. I mean, I would love to fight Jake just to prove my point from the things he said bad about me. But I'll tell you another guy I was thinking about is Brock Lesnar. I'd love to fight Brock Lesnar.
Brock in what?
I always have wanted to.
In what kind of fight?
Boxing, in a boxing match. I've got 2 new hips.
Oh gosh.
Which they would never do hip surgery before, but they don't want me to do MMA, but they've cleared me to box.
Okay. So you versus Brock Lesnar, that would be the dream.
I think that'd be a great fight. Or Jake Paul. I mean, I'd rather fight Jake, to be honest, because he runs his mouth a little bit too much, like one little Chihuahua dog. I'd like to shut him up.
I thought you were going to say Mike Tyson because that was the one that was talked about for so long and never came to fruition.
I'll be honest, after the fight Mike had with Jake, I don't think it would even be a close fight. I think I would destroy him that quick.
Okay.
If that's actually how he's going to fight.
Why didn't it ultimately ever happen between you? I think in the late 90s it was close, right?
I'll be honest, I think because Tyson does not have a chin. Mike cannot take a punch. If you've noticed, he's been knocked out many times. Buster Douglas knocked him out, a guy named Kevin McBride. Funny thing is, I fought a guy that knocked both of them guys out. And I knocked him out, Louis Monaco.
How close did it ever get?
I don't know. I think after I knocked Monaco out, it ceased to exist because they seen the power. Okay. And they knew they didn't want to put Mike against anybody that had power because Mike don't back down. There's nothing wrong with Mike. He just don't. He's not smart enough to try to run from me.
You did compete WrestleMania weekend in Las Vegas, right, against Minoru Suzuki. How was that experience like for you?
The bad thing about that, I'd hurt my leg prior to that, and I thought I broke it. I mean, I actually had to go to the emergency room afterwards, but I didn't want to disappoint the people that already paid to go there. So yeah, we had a lot of fun with that.
Okay, and so you injured your leg before the match? Yeah,
2 days before. It was swelled up twice the size. If you look at the tape, you can see it just bright red.
Prior to that, when was your last, combat sports match?
10 years.
Wow. And there were some reports that
my hips were so bad. My feet were going pigeon-toed out. I could barely walk.
How did that come about? You taking part in that match?
Well, when you're 350, 400 pounds and you're running, and I did a lot of cardio just to be able to do what I did. I went 10 rounds with Larry Holmes. If it wasn't for doing cardio, I've never been able to do that because I'm a big guy. I've never been a small guy. So running just wore out my hips totally. I mean, they were bone on bone. They actually fused together after time.
You know, you're the only person in the world that could say that they competed against Larry Holmes, Mariusz Pudzianowski, and Johnny Knoxville.
True story.
Which opponent did you like best of those three?
Yeah, I like Johnny. Me and Johnny are real good friends.
Yeah.
Me and Larry's actually become friends now that he's got, he's mellowed down a little bit. I didn't care for Larry. Larry's the only fighter I've ever fought that I didn't like.
Really?
I normally won't fight somebody I don't like.
And why is that? Why didn't
Jake.
you like him?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Jake, but he runs his mouth too much.
Why didn't you like Larry?
He just not a nice guy. He wasn't a nice guy when he was younger. Just like George Foreman, when he first started, he wasn't a nice guy. Me and George become good friends later on.
Did you feel, later on that some of those guys, like the old guard or maybe the more traditional guys, that they respected you, that they didn't treat you or view you as a sideshow actor, as a tough man, that eventually you got the respect of the sweet scientist, if you will?
Well, Larry, that was exactly Larry's opinion in the beginning of me. Oh, I'll take him out in the first couple rounds. He's not a fighter. He only fights 4 or 6 rounds. He can't go until 6, 8. He's like, okay. I got respect for this man now.
Okay, so you felt like you earned it afterwards.
Oh, yeah. I had to prove to him that I was a real deal.
Your experience with KSW competing against Mariusz Pudzianowski, what do you remember of them? Because they're still around. They're killing it. They've grown exponentially and have become such a big promotion. What was your experience like with them?
I would love another rematch with Pudzianowski. I would love to. I don't think they would. I don't think they would allow it, though. I think I've got so much better, I think they'd be afraid of me.
Are you still training in combat sports?
Every day, all the time. I'm hitting the bag. As a matter of fact, I got a heavy bag in my living room right now.
Why? At this point, like you said, you have nothing left to prove. Why put your body through this?
I'm proving it to myself. I enjoy it. I mean, once you've fought, it's great exercise, first of all. But you can't get a better feeling than going out there and competing. And like I said, I want to do it one more time just to prove to myself that I've overcome being in a wheelchair. I've overcome being overweight. I've overcome not believing in myself. I believe in myself. I can do anything.
You were someone who was very active, despite, people calling you Butterbean and you being a bigger guy. You're very active. You competed in all these fights. When you get to the point where you can't get out of bed, where you're in a wheelchair, mentally, I would imagine that's very tough. And I would imagine it was quite depressing. How dark did it get as you were unable to move?
Very dark. I mean, I already give away stuff, to my kids that, I didn't think I had a couple more years left. I was looking out the window, just waiting to die, instead of looking out the window, looking for something to live for.
Wow.
Once you believe in yourself, you can accomplish anything. Like I said, I did not believe in myself. I didn't believe I could do anything anymore. I give up hope.
And so how were you passing?
Never do that.
How were you passing your days? Like, what were you doing?
I tell you what, for a couple of years, I didn't know them. I stayed in bed the whole time.
Wow.
I never left the bed. I mean, that's how bad it was. I'd go to the bathroom, and that's about it.
That's it. And were you around family members? Were people visiting you?
Yeah, I mean, but the kids, my grandkids, I have 10 grandkids. It's a whole different thing now. Now that I'm not grumpy, I never realized I was grumpy before. Now I'm more enjoyable to be around. I mean, I just love life. I mean, life is a blessing. And one thing that I can't get back is the time that I lost not believing in myself.
Do you look back on that time with regret?
Sometimes, but now I'm looking forward. I'm trying not to look back. I'm looking forward to what life brings me.
Yeah. Would you sit down? Would you lie down and watch some of your old fights when you were on top of the world doing such big things? Would you look at that stuff, or was it hard to watch that?
I didn't want to watch it back then because, I mean, I'd give up hope. I mean, that's something I used to be able to do. Now I can do it again.
Yeah. How about now? Now you could watch it? Now you enjoy it?
Oh, without a doubt.
I love it. What about the shorts, by the way? Who introduced you to those shorts? Whose idea was the shorts? That was part of your aura.
Yeah, when I first started Tough Man, it was a world Tough Man competition. And supposedly there's fighters from all over the world going to be there. I wanted people to know America is a force to be reckoned with. Funny story about the 4th of July. We were in Vegas right around the 4th of July. My trainer, Maurice Sutherland, which is a former world champion, his daughter was like 12 or 13. She looked at her dad and she goes, Dad, this Butterbean stuff's really taken off. It was the 4th of July. It was, the red, white, and blue everywhere. I mean, it was just so funny.
I love that. By the way, we just showed a photo of you. You wore those shorts all the time, but that was the Brawl for All footage right there when you knocked out Bart Gunn. 100% a shoot that was not a work whatsoever.
100%. Bart's, yeah. Bart's a great guy though. I mean, he really is. I mean, I've talked to him since. He's a really good guy. Vinny, which is a ref, he should have stopped the fight after the second knockout because Bart was out of it.
What was your experience like working with those guys, with WWF at the time and Vince McMahon?
I got along great with Vince. I mean, I've done a couple other wrestling events prior to that with Mark Mero and a couple other events with him. So, I mean, yeah, I had a good time working with the guys.
The other matches in that tournament, were they all shoots as well?
All the Brawl for All was a real deal. Some of the guys got seriously injured.
Yeah.
Ended their careers.
And is it true that like this was, I think they wanted someone else to win and Bart beat, maybe it was Mero and you were kind of like the punishment?
Well, it was Dr. Death. They wanted
Dr. Death, excuse
to
me.
win to kind of push him. And my understanding that Vince went to him and said, look, we want you to throw that fight. And Bart said, I ain't doing it. This has been a real thing from the beginning. And his thing, he was trying to get out of wrestling, so he wanted to take and destroy everybody and then go as a professional fighter, which he did move on to be a pro fighter, and he done really well. Really tough dude.
Well, after knocking him out that viciously, you go to the back. What was the temperature like?
He went back at him. I think he had 10 or 12 pro fights, big fights.
But what was it like for you backstage after that knockout? Was anyone like, oh my gosh, we've made a horrible mistake.
Yeah.
This was not a good idea. Did you feel any of that?
Well, no, Steve Austin kept I guess him and Rock were talking about, Rock was saying I was going to win. Austin saying I was going to get knocked out. Austin come into my dressing room probably 10 times. You're a bad man. Then he'd run out. He'd run back in. Tell me that again. It's like, it's the coolest thing.
That's amazing. You also had a couple of fights under the Pride banner, which is a legendary MMA organization. What are your memories from competing for Pride?
A lot of the Pride fights are not on my record. I fought Pride probably 30 times.
Really? Were they all shoots as well?
Yes.
Okay.
When I fought like Rumble and Rock, when I fought Cabbage the first time, I had they call it Butterbean rules. If it went to the ground, they get to stand us back up. Went to Pride, there was none of that. It was like legit, no special rules.
Incredible. What did you between boxing, tough man, MMA, kickbox? Which did you enjoy the most?
The fans for Pride were so knowledgeable. I enjoyed that so much, and so many more people. I mean, when you're at an event here in the U.S., you're looking at 15 to 25,000. You go over there, there's 80 to 150,000.
Yeah, and millions watching on television. It was a huge deal.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, like, it's insane. But boxing's my true love. I love boxing. That's why I want to have one more fight, just to, like I said, to prove to myself that I can do it, and to prove to the world, people that say somebody cannot do something. I was always bullied as a kid. Don't never judge a book by its cover.
What were the kids saying to you?
Fights back.
I appreciate that. What were the kids saying to you, and how old were you when you were bullied the worst, so to speak?
Well, in school, I was always a big kid, and I was more fat then. Until I graduated, then I started working out and getting actually healthy. I've always been big, but if you notice when I'm fighting, I'm very fast. And so the speed and the power, then I had a killer knockout punch. Either hand, I knocked as many out with left as I did the right.
How's your diet these days?
I eat very healthy. I don't have a diet. Diets don't work. You have to change the way you eat. Diets they just don't work. You just got to change what you eat.
But I'm sure you have to be a little bit more conscientious of what. So, like a typical day for you, I'm sure you were eating back in the day massive quantities of calories.
No, just unhealthy food.
Unhealthy food.
A lot of fried food. A lot of I'm in Alabama. Fried, good old Southern food. It's not healthy.
And so, what are you eating now?
There's ways you can. I eat very healthy now. I've got rid of a lot of gluten, a lot of dairy, cow dairy.
Yeah.
I do eat cheese, but I'll eat like a sheep cheese.
Sheep cheese, interesting.
Sheep or goat? Yeah, it's very good.
Okay. And are you cooking for yourself, or are you having someone cook for you?
Yeah, I do. I cook myself. I'm a great cook. I mean, I didn't get 400 pounds and
Yeah.
500 pounds not being able to cook. Let me tell you.
I love that. And as far as your kids are concerned, did any of them fall in your footsteps? Did any of them try to be fighters as well?
Well, my one son, Caleb, he's still fighting.
Okay.
My older son, Brandon, he's retired. He decided he wants to do other things. But one of my grandkids, he's 13. He's training to fight. I work with him. He works out with me a lot. He motivates me a lot.
Wow. Boxing, MMA, what's he trying to do?
Boxing. He likes to box. He likes boxing.
By the way, we don't see a lot of the tough man contests these days. Why do you think that is?
It's still out there. It's just the founder of it, Art Door, which was the guy that managed me in the beginning, which was more like a father figure to me. He passed away a couple years back, probably 4 or 5 years ago now. And it's just not the same.
There's this influencer boxing scene, which I think actually would probably be a scene that would be interested in you. Did any of those promotions ever reach out? Anyone come to you with offers that maybe?
I work with a company called Roughest and Toughest.
Okay.
And it's basically a tough man contest. And we've done a couple influencer fights. There was a fighter named Jimmy Mooney, and then the Hillbilly. I had them fight each other on the card, which was a pretty good fight.
Oh gosh. Did any of these promotions try to get you to fight? Like anyone offer you something that you were like, nah, this isn't for me. I have bigger plans.
Well, a lot of them, yeah, the money that they don't have the money, first of all, but they're more of an amateur type fight.
Okay.
You know, once you've had 100-something pro fights, they don't want to match an amateur with a professional. It'd be like the brawl for all over again.
By the way, when you fought Johnny Knoxville in the department store in the film, is it true that he was trying to swallow his tongue because you hit him so hard?
Well, he was snoring. I mean, he didn't try to swallow it. He was
out.
He was out pretty bad.
Did you go 100% on him, or did you pull any punches?
You know, I was taking it easy on him in the beginning. I was hitting him, but then the last punch, I don't remember throwing. So it was a solid punch.
Oh gosh. And you're still friends as a result.
Well, I talked to him when we done the Family Feud.
Yeah.
We done that a year and a half ago. I go, you ready for a rematch, Johnny? He goes, I had vertigo for like 6 weeks. He said every time I stood up, I got dizzy and had to puke. And like he goes, I don't want, never again.
But you're still friends.
We're still friends. Talk a good bit.
Any interest in continuing with the pro wrestling? Maybe that's a little easier, or you.
You know, it's just not what I'm interested in.
Okay, fair enough.
I want to actually hit somebody.
Are you hoping to get this fight in 2025, or are you not putting?
Yeah, Lucky is really helping me with it. Lucky energy drink. If you've never tried it, it's more of a healthy energy. I was drinking so many of the other ones, and it really was messing my stomach up and not good for me.
Okay.
And my wife would holler at me, but Lucky, she'll let me drink because it's got a lot of healthy stuff in it and it's sugar free.
Butterbean, what do you want to say to the people who supported you, who backed you all those years, and who still believed in you? I'm sure you've had a ton of support. What do you want to say to those people who may be watching?
You know, I love them all. I really do. I started a TikTok page just because of the fans.
Wow.
And that's why I do TikTok. I mean, it's not something I am not tech savvy. Trust me. I'm lucky I'm on here with you right now. But if they didn't make it so easy, he click this and that's it, I would not be here. But I like doing TikTok because I can relate with my fans, the people that have followed me and supported me. And I just love it.
Well, it's great to see you in great spirits, in great health. We'll check out the TikTok. Congrats on everything that you're doing.
Let Jake know that Butterbean's out for him. And as a matter of fact, I told Jake that.
Yeah.
Right after he beat Tyson, after the Tyson fight, I said, Jake, when's Bean going to go on? Oh, Bean, you're a legend. I can't fight you. Well, come on, you just fought Mike Tyson. You can fight me. He knows I'd knock him out.
We're actually going to have his business partner in studio in about an hour's time. What's the message to him, Nakisa Bidarian?
Tell him Butterbean is ready. People want to see it because it's an American dream. You don't want to give somebody that dreams for this fight not the opportunity to make it happen. I come from a wheelchair to running just to fight Jake. So, hey, that's why I'm here.
All right. Well, good luck to you. Thank you so much. Great to meet you. Appreciate the time, and good luck the rest of the way as well.
Make sure I get your address. I really
yeah.
want to send you that.
I appreciate that. Thank you. We will send you that. Thank you. It's very kind of you. All the best.
I
There he is.
appreciate it.
The great Eric Esch, a.k.a. Butterbean, living legend, often imitated, never duplicate. What a guy. Knocked out Bart Gunn, Brawl for All, among many, many others. An illustrious career, and he wants one more dance in the sun, and he wants it to be against Jake Paul. All right. Had a wrestling match back in April, WrestleMania week. Everyone knows Butterbean. Hailing from Atlanta, GA. I wonder if GC knew that.
It's tough.
Yeah. Atlanta, GA. One of Atlanta's finest. Turns 59 in August 3rd, 2 days after Rick's birthday. So he's got to get that fight in. But I mean, if you think of the 90s, if you think of Tough Man, boxing, WWF cameo, Pride cameo, you think of that man, Butterbean. I mean, in the Jackass movie, the shorts, legend, absolute legend. Frank, you know Butterbean, right?
Absolutely.
I thought Butterbean would get a big pop back there.
He did.
All right.
Oh, he's a legend.
Did you know he's from Atlanta, GA?
I didn't know.
Yeah, there you go.
I did learn about him in Jackass, though.
That's where you first heard of him.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Look at that heavyweight champion shirt there. Did we get anything else?
Shout out. Oh, yeah, we got shorts and sweats, too.
I love that. What is that? 000202.
Average fight time.
For Tommy.
Yeah, shortest in UFC history.
Unbelievable.
We'll have to update it after each fight, but that's all right.
Yeah.
We'll just have to get a new shirt.
Could be less.
Could be more.
Could be more.
One of the two. Or he could knock him out in 2 minutes and 2 seconds.
Or that. Yeah, that's
never
right.
know.
That's right. I watched the countdown show for Taylor Serrano 3, and the whole Katie Taylor team, including her mom, decked out in the gear. So, I mean, what a start, by the way, to their foray into the world of combat. Tom Aspinall and Katie Taylor. I mean, could you have picked two more likable and perfect people to rep the brand?
It's not bad. The gear's good, too.
Yeah?
I like the Katie stuff.
Love it. You saw it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of it.
I'm very excited to talk to our next guests. We're going to be joined by them in a matter of moments. It's Frank Mir and Bella Mir. You know Frank Mir, of course, former UFC heavyweight champion. I mean, just an absolute legend of the sport, Hall of Famer. Wins over Brock Lesnar, Big Nog, Tim Sylvia, Tank Abbott, Mirko Krokop. On and on it goes. In fact, next week from today, marks his 25th year anniversary of his pro MMA debut. That was a unanimous decision victory over Jerome Smith at Hook and Shoot in Evansville, Indiana. His last fight was in 2019, 27 fights in the UFC between 01 and 16, 19 wins. I mean, just a legend. And over the years, you interview him, it would always be the entire family. His wife, Jennifer, the kid, they would always be at the open workouts, at the media days. And then slowly but surely, we would start to hear about his daughter, Bella Mir. And then slowly but surely, you start to hear like, wait, she's getting into jiu-jitsu. She's already a purple belt. And now she's getting into MMA. She's already 3-0. And now she's winning championships. 2024 IBJJF No-Gi World Champion as a blue belt. 4 IBJJF national championships, I should say. Then she gets into NCAA wrestling. Finalist and 2-time All-American. Place on the U20 and U23 teams. Now all of a sudden, she's on the UFC BJJ card. The first one. Back in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago. Was an Iowa Hawkeye, transferred to North Central ahead of the 2024-2025 season. Freshman year in Iowa, had a 21-3 record, placed 5th in nationals. North Central in Illinois had a record of 22-3. National runner-up at 145 pounds. A 3-sport star, following in the footsteps of her father. Grand plans, aspirations to become an Olympian, a national champion, a UFC champion. An incredible story, really. And even when she won a couple of weeks ago at UFC BJJ 1, just sort of like her demeanor, her celebration, if you will, the vibe, the swagger, all felt very much like her dad. It's amazing to see. She is, by the way, just 22, so she has her entire life and career ahead of her. But I'm I'm loving watching a mini Frank Mir, a female version of Frank Mir, his daughter, and he's in her corner throughout all of this, progress into the combat sports star that she is becoming. By the way, way back when, in July of 2002, Frank Mir fought an Englishman named Ian Freeman, you may recall. The brawl at Royal Albert Hall in London. On that night, Ian Freeman defeated Frank Mir in a legendary fight, an all-time classic. Well, Ian Freeman's daughter, Kennedy Freeman, is 6-0 as an MMA fighter. She recently signed with the UFC and will debut at UFC Paris. Now, she competes at 125 pounds. Bella typically these days at 135 as far as MMA is concerned, but could you imagine? That would be incredible. And so there's a lot to be excited about here. There's a lot to like. It feels like just a matter of time before she enters the UFC, in my opinion. She is, in fact, an NIL UFC athlete while sticking with the collegiate wrestling, while in the summertime doing stuff like this jiu-jitsu competition at the UFC BJJ event, has an MMA fight coming up in a few weeks, July 27th to be exact, going up against Olivia Beerley, 2-1 at Fury Challenger Series 14 in Houston, Texas, fighting at bantamweight, 2 first-round submissions in MMA, like I said, 3-0. This will, in fact, be her first MMA fight in about 3 years' time. Her last one was in June of 2022. And when she made her MMA debut, it was very exciting. It's now getting wild to see the kids of the stars that we covered, that I covered when I was coming up, now start to become stars in their own right. So let us say hello to Frank Mir, and in a matter of moments, shortly thereafter, we're going to be joined by his daughter Bella to talk about everything that is going on. We're actually going to be joined by both of them at the same time in a matter of moments. Following that conversation, we're going to be joined by Josh Van, #1 contender at 125 pounds. Looking forward to that. He competes against Alexandre Pantoja coming up later this year, and then we'll round out the day with a conversation in studio with Nakisa Bidarian, the co-founder of Most Valuable Promotions. Without further ado, though, let us say hello to the former UFC heavyweight champion and a future potential UFC champion, his daughter, Bella Mir. We've got Frank Mir and Bella Mir here. How exciting is this? This is unbelievable. Hello, guys. Thank you so much. Frank, it's great to see you. And we've obviously talked a million times over the years. Now to do it with your daughter, who's turning into a future star in her own right, this is pretty damn cool. So congratulations to you, Frank, first and foremost, on everything that you're doing with Bella as of late.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, I think it's every father's dream to make sure that his child finds something that they love and can, and also, make a living doing it. So it's definitely a dream come true for me. Not that I want her to do this, but she's doing something she loves. She's good at it and is able to, take care of herself with it.
And Bella, it's great to formally meet you as an adult. I do remember every time Frank would do the media days, whether it was the open workouts, the press days, the whole family would join. Your mom would be there, Jennifer, your siblings would be there, you would be there. Now to see you turn into this, it's pretty remarkable. He said it's a dream come true for every dad to, have their kid find what they love. Was this always your dream? Did you always want to do this as you watched your dad in the prime of his UFC career?
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to follow in his footsteps and, bid down on that legacy that he was creating. And I just think it's awesome that I'm here. It's crazy to think that I've even been a part of like the UFC BJJ card. It's like one step closer to the real dream.
Bella, do you remember how old you were when you first? Most young girls probably aren't thinking about fighting at 6, 7, 8. Do you remember how old you were when you started to think like this is something I really want to do?
I think I didn't get like really serious with training and this is like really what I want to be doing in my future till I was like 13, maybe 14. But when I was younger, I always was in the gym. I always was doing like my dad's like kickboxing classes and jiu-jitsu classes and wrestling over at Gorman, where my dad was like training over there. So I've always like been in the gym. I always felt like that was like second nature to me, and that was what I was supposed to be doing. But I didn't realize like that was going to be my future and what I'm going to be dedicated with until I was like early teens.
Frank, when she started to tell you this as an early teen, what are you thinking? What is your wife thinking? Are you worried? Are you trying to convince her otherwise, or are you all in?
We're worried, and obviously, being a professional martial artist is like being a professional musician. I draw correlations, lines easily. I think learning a musical instrument, having music be a part of your life, is like having martial arts. It's a way to learn about yourself, way to overcome situations, just a way to grow and adapt. So the martial arts for my family is just kind of a way of life. Getting paid for it is like going and joining a rock band. You know what I mean? Like for everybody that made it, how many thousands of guys haven't. So that was our fear of her wanting to become a professional mixed martial artist, was just that, there's a lot of pitfalls. There's a lot of luck involved in it, injuries that you don't get, that you just, the right things line up at the right time. So that being said, we didn't want to, but then she just pushed and was so driven that, the writing was on the wall. My wife actually sat down with us. We had to sit there and think and go, we're either going to be a part of this journey or we're going to be watching from the sidelines. So we chose to go ahead and use the experience that we had to help her, get the most she can out of this.
Bella, as far as the journey is concerned, you have multiple journeys that you're on right now. You've got the wrestling journey. You're still in college. You're doing great things. The jiu-jitsu journey, the fighting journey, you're talking about the Olympics. Is there a predominant journey, though? Is there one that's more important than the others in your mind?
That's so hard because I feel like they're all important to me. I definitely feel the end goal is UFC champion. That's always been my end goal to all three sports that I'm competing in. Right now, I feel like my main focus would be wrestling just because I'm still in college and I base a lot of my time off of, okay, when is college season over? Okay, I'll do the UFC BJJ card in the summer after US Open and NCAs. So I feel like right now it is based off wrestling because I feel like I don't have much time left. Like I feel 2028 and then it's like, am I going to wrestle after 2028? I don't know. Maybe I just go full in on jiu-jitsu and MMA. So, but yeah, definitely MMA is the end goal and UFC champion. That's for sure the end goal. But right now I would say wrestling.
As far as competing, which do you enjoy the most?
Oh, I feel like it's the event. I feel like if I'm at the US Open or if I'm at NCAs, like in the moment I'm like, oh, like wrestling's so much fun right now. But then if I'm doing the UFC BJJ card or if I did the Fury card back in December, it's I think jiu-jitsu is like what I really like. Or if I just had like one of my pro fights, like after all my fights, it's like the whole trip I always like look back on it. I'm just, man, like I really like MMA right now, so I feel like it's just whatever moment I'm in, honestly.
Frank, which makes you most nervous? I'm coming at this as a father who has an 8-year-old daughter, and I can't imagine her getting punched in the face. You're obviously ingrained in this world. This is a part of who you are. Your family's fabric is entrenched in combat sports. But which makes you most nervous when you're watching your daughter compete?
MMA, just because the striking aspect of it. Like watching her dive in and get caught with a knee or something. The injuries are more prolific to me. With the jiu-jitsu matches, you tap. Worst case scenario, there's a damage to the joint. Wrestling, again, is not really a high injury sport, comparative to what MMA, because once you start throwing knees and elbows, those things make me nervous because, as a father, that's when it comes out the most, where I'm like, man, she takes a shot at the wrong time, runs into something. We've seen some pretty, bad injuries.
We don't often see athletes doing 3 different disciplines at a very high level like she is. Are you okay with that, or is there any part of you that's worried that she's stretching herself too thin?
It does at times, but so far what Bella does prioritize. So even though we are juggling and she is a multi-sport athlete, she's prioritizing college wrestling right now because it's the time period she's in. So we kind of all sat down about 3 years ago and had this discussion, does Bella turn pro right now, and jump right into the UFC? She was 17 years old. And actually Dana and I were actually on the same page more than anybody else really in the group, as far as saying, hey, time's on her side. let's just, we can wait. There's no rush to jump into the UFC. So let's go ahead and follow the college wrestling dream as far as it can. Jiu-jitsu will be there until she's, the barrier in the ground. Obviously, with matches, and the MMA will be the next thing. And when it comes time for that, we'll focus on that fully. Right now, these are just building blocks to help for the culmination of her ultimate goal, which is to be the best martial artist possible. But right now, focusing on wrestling at this time in her life is relevant. It's the most important aspect for her to focus on.
Bella, before you joined us, I mentioned that you're returning to MMA on July 27th, and this will be about 3 years since your last fight. Why the big gap between fights?
Well, so when I went to Iowa, my first 2 years in college, they weren't fully supportive of having fights like during the summer, because that was my plan. I was going to go to college and then fight during the summers when I'm off of wrestling, but they weren't that supportive of it. So I feel like that was the first holdback for the first year. And then when I came back last summer, I actually was like planning on having a fight, but it was really hard, like trying to get opponents, and a lot of people saying no. So I actually was gonna fight last year, but there was just a lot of just stuff people wouldn't fight and whatever. So then this year, finally, we got someone to fight me. But the first year, yeah, and then the first year also it was hard at Iowa just because of junior worlds and trying to train for that. But yeah.
Is that part of the reason why you transferred out of Iowa?
Yeah, I would say the main reason was the injuries, just because I was getting injured so much, like my entire second year. I can't even tell you how many injuries I got. I would be back in the room for like a week or two, and then something would happen, and then I'm out for 6 to 8 weeks. And then I was like on that same cycle all the way to nationals. I mean, at nationals, I was wrestling on a broken foot, and my knee was completely braced up. I looked like a robot, and my shoulders were both just torn, and I just had surgery. So like, and my neck, everything about it, it was just, I genuinely wasn't loving wrestling anymore because of dealing with all these injuries and trying to wrestle through it. It made wrestling not fun. So then when I transferred out and I transferred to North Central this year, I mean, I had no injuries, knock on wood, but I felt great, and I genuinely loved wrestling again.
Frank, I mentioned at the top, I remember vividly when you would do all your media stuff on Fight Week, you'd bring the whole family. There are other fighters who like to treat Fight Week as a business trip, and they leave everyone at home, they do the job, and then they come home. Do you think you immersing your family and your kids into what you were doing led to this? Do you think if you would have kept them at home, Bella's maybe doing something completely different, or was this inevitable?
I think it was inevitable, but I do think this definitely paved the way to make it easier and more of a transition where she truly understood what she was getting involved with. She was around us so much. I mean, so many people want to be a fighter, but they've never even been to in someone's corner. So my daughter, from a baby, was in the audience. And then even before she turned pro and was fighting, I had her corner me so she could walk down with me to the cage and see what that felt like, the energy, the back room. So not only did Bella train like everybody else as a martial artist, but I exposed her different aspects of it. So when she finally said, yes, this is what I want to do, I felt more confident that she knew what she was getting into.
Uh-huh. And you have 4 kids total, right? For Frank? You have 4 children?
I'm sorry. 3. I have 3 children.
3. Do they also compete?
Yeah, my son's Cage actually he competes as multiple state champion in wrestling for Gorman High School. Actually set the school record for most wins. He's going to Landers University. He leaves this August to go wrestle in college. And he was a little bit more late to the game, though. He didn't really take wrestling seriously as Bella had until about his sophomore, junior year of high school. He was very focused on football. There's more of the culture there at Gorman. And then the bug bit him, and he just really focused on wrestling more. And then my youngest actually is going to go to Faith here in Las Vegas. It's another great academy to go to. But he's really focused on football. So again, he trains. They all do jiu-jitsu. They all have to wrestle. They all have to. In my household, it's just it's like you got to learn how to read. You have to do math. You got to do martial arts. And so I don't want to get paid for it, but you have to be a part of your life. But right now, my youngest passion is football.
Could I ask you, Bella? I mean, this may be a silly question that you've probably been asked a million times, but what is it like having Frank Mir as your dad? And how old are you when you start to realize, like, this guy is a badass, he's a former UFC heavyweight champion, he's a legend, a Hall of Famer, where you start to realize, like, my dad's just a little bit different than the other dads?
Yeah, I didn't realize until I got a little older. My parents always make this joke around the house when I was younger. People would ask me what my dad was, and I'd say he's a model because he would have like a bunch of magazines and pictures of him like half naked with gloves on. So I was like, oh, he's a model because he's always being posted and all his pictures around the house. So I didn't realize till I got older that he actually was one of the greatest heavyweight champs in UFC history, and all of his submissions and the way that he would just rip people's arms off. I didn't realize that he was that good until a little later in my life. But I never realized that it's not even like what he accomplished or what he did. It's his mindset and the way that he takes martial arts in his entire life. Like how he always has his weapons. He just showed me last night. He has this like axe of a cane in case like he's like walking around and he could beat somebody up with it. So he's always like taking martial arts in every aspect of his life, and I think that's just so cool that not like to truly like live and breathe in it. Like I've never met anyone like it unless like it's my dad.
To that point, I actually heard Bella say at the post match press conference after UFC BJJ 1 that you, Frank, like you go to bed listening to instructionals and things like that, so it seeps into your brain. Is this true? Are you still doing this at this age? And if so, why?
Oh, no, I'm constantly listening to things. But I mean, I'm a fan of YouTube. There's so many, there's so many creators out there that have great information, and I love to listen to it. And I don't necessarily fall asleep purposely to try to absorb information from it. It's just that I love following. I watch it till I pass out. I wake up in the middle of the night. I'll listen to it for a little bit more. So I have a list that just keeps going through and runs over. But that's just, yeah, I'm constantly like, I can't shut it off. I don't know anybody. I never did martial arts to make money. To me, the money aspect was to justify why I'm at training, so that my wife's like, hey, you spend a lot of time at the gym. I'm like, well, here, look, it's going to be worth it at the end. Here, you take the check. I don't even care. I just want to go train and live and breathe this and just immerse myself. And even now, as my body, obviously, age has caught up to me, and some of the mistakes that I made throughout my career, how to deal with injuries, but my mind is free. It can constantly develop. And so the great aspect of it is I get to push that aspect of my mind much further than it ever was. And then I get to convey it to my children and pass on that knowledge that I took to a different level that was given to me, and then they can take it to the next level.
Bella, favorite Frank Mir fight? Does one come to mind?
Probably the second Nogueira fight, just because I feel like it was a lot of his mentality and trying to deal with adversity. It's hard like beating someone really, really good twice, 3 times, 4 times. So when he beat him the first time, I feel like that plays a lot in his mentality. It's like, oh, I have this much confidence, like I'll do better, or I'll knock him out again because he knocked him out in the first fight. So the fact that Nogueira like put it on him and had him in the guillotine, and the way he was able to outposition him on the ground too, and especially the fact that Nogueira is like, his accolades fall under jiu-jitsu, and a lot more accolades in jiu-jitsu than like my dad has, and he was able to get the Kimura in the end. And I genuinely I feel like it's never like a specific fight where I'm just like, wow, like that impressed me. It's always the fact that my dad's every fight in his career, the fact that he's able to beat somebody what they're best at, the way he's able to knock out Crow Cop, and he's world level kickboxers, the way he's able to beat Brock on the ground and get him in the knee bar and able to submit Nogueira. It's like, it's so hard like beating people what they're best at, and my dad was just really good at that.
I remember that fight in Toronto, and it was such a big deal to see someone submit Big Nog. And I mentioned this after your win a couple of weeks ago, and I think Frank knows this. Like Frank, you had swag, you had aura, you were when you walked down to that song, amazing. Like you had a vibe to you, and I felt that even the way you got up, like you almost get up like ain't no thing, like you brush. I felt that. I saw that in Bella when she got up after the submission win. Is that you emulating your dad, or is that the Mir way? Is that just ingrained in you?
I genuinely think that was just a gene that he just happened to pass on, and I just every single time I just feel like this energy that like after fights, like I just get in this like feeling, and I genuinely I don't know why I do it. Well, now I know why when I see him.
Yeah. But you see
but
it too, right? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes. It was funny. We both handle the same way. We both have that two sides to our personality, the very passive, loving, carefree side that Bella has when she's home. I'm the same way, very laid back. And there's that bravado that we have when we compete of just this, I'm the ultimate samurai type mentality, conquer the world. And it's funny because we both, not only did we act the same way after the fights, I saw it, but we both were embarrassed about it later when we convert back to this personality. When we're sitting there, it's kind of cringy, like, oh man, did I really do that? Every time I watch myself, and then I watch my daughter do the same exact thing and also be embarrassed about it afterwards.
I love it.
I'm like, oh, it's perfect.
It's so good. What is it like for you as a dad, Frank, to hear your daughter speak of you with so much love and admiration, to see the way she talks about you is an incredible thing. What is that like for you to hear this?
Oh, it's...
Yeah.
Excellent.
I'd imagine these are tears of joy.
Yeah. I feel like I'm the richest man in the world to have your children love you as a father. I think anybody who has children can understand to be a father, to be a role model, to have your children admire you, to look at you like that. I mean, in one sense, it's scary because I want to hold to a certain image they behold of me. But at the same time, just like I couldn't imagine living any other way. I pity anybody who doesn't get to feel love for their children that I get to feel. There's nothing like it. There's nothing, no reward, no championship, no submission, no accolade at the end of my career with my hand is raised that ever is equal to how that feels right now.
Well said. By the way, you were around 6, Bella, when Frank, your dad, had his rivalry with Brock. Were you aware of any of that at the time? I mean, he was kind of a big, scary man. Were you ever nervous around any of these guys?
Like anyone that he was fighting?
Or, I mean, the Brock one was a very notable one. The rivalry was very intense between the two of them, but I think you may have been too young to remember any of that, right?
Oh, she gave me advice after the second fight.
No, yeah.
Oh, really?
Do you remember this, Bella?
Yeah, I remember when after the second fight, because the first one he got the submission, obviously. The second one, I remember telling him afterwards, I was like, why didn't you armbar him?
Oh, my.
No, and just not just say, throw it out there. She's like, we're in the jacuzzi, I'm sitting there, I'm sore, I'm sitting in my back of my house, and she's, Dad, when he did this, how come you didn't just turn your hips and grab the armbar? I was like, that would have been a great idea, but I missed it. Like just sometimes you compete, you'll see.
That is amazing. Were you at the fight? Were you at UFC 100, Bella?
No, I don't think so. I was in the hotel with Mom. She was freaking out, yelling at the TV.
How old were you when you attended your first Frank Mir fight?
Well, baby.
Yeah, I don't think I
remember. She was an infant.
Do you remember which fight was the first one?
The only reason we stayed home for the Brock fight was because Ronan was only 3 weeks old.
Yeah, that's right. At that time, my youngest was 3 weeks old. But up to that point, the minute Bella was born, all the kids were at the fights. We'd have little headphones on her ear to shooting, to make sure to dampen the noise.
Yeah.
But that was one fight they didn't go to because my youngest son was born June 9th, and that fight was like July 8th. So he was not even like 30 days old. So to bring him into the arena, so that's why they sleep back in the hotel room.
Okay, so I was telling the guys in the back, like, I'm on a text thread now with Frank, Bella, and your wife, Jennifer, who has always been by your side. And now I feel like this is like the virtual version of the text thread, which is very exciting. Now I have to, is that your wife speaking? Is that Jennifer speaking in the background?
Yeah.
Can we bring her in for just a quick second? I just want to ask her this one question. Is she okay with that?
Okay, man. Oh, yeah, we're sorry.
Okay, this is what I want to ask. When your husband retires, you probably think, like, now the coast is clear. Like, now you can sit on a beach and enjoy life. Now you're going through the whole thing with your daughter. What is this like for you? Now these nerves and the emotions, I can't even imagine what it's like when it's your actual daughter as opposed to your husband. Could you tell us what it's like going through this now all over again?
Oh, my gosh. I actually have cried before. Like, it's just a lot. I always tell Frank, I've been keeping journals like since we got together, and I always tell him when he finally, I mean, I don't know. I think we're here, but when he finally is like, okay, I'm done, I'm going to write a book called My Life with the Champ, because it's, he has his story, but it's a lot to be the wife and the supporter and the parents, or, of a fighter. It's a lot. And it's, you have to wear so many hats. And here I thought like, we could finally, I thought it was over.
Yeah.
And then when Bella, I cried. But now when I watch Bella, and watching her post interview from her last, the UFC BJJ one. I mean, she just is meant to do this. It's like, I don't think anybody, not just because I'm her mom, but I mean, I think anybody that watches Bella cannot argue that she's meant to be here. She's gonna have such a great journey, and I'm so happy to be a part of it, and I'm so proud of her. But yes, there was a lot of tears. I think I cried like a couple times. Like, it just to do this all over again, it's a lot. But no, I'm so proud of her.
I love it. And yes, you do have that star-like quality. And so the next event, if you will, is end of July, this MMA fight. Then you're back at school for 2 more years, Bella. Is that it?
Yeah. You just go year by year. I really want to win NCAAs this year, and I really want to win U23 Worlds. I don't think I could leave wrestling without feeling like unfinished with goals that I have, since I was little. So definitely go back after and train for Worlds in October. And then, yeah.
And then Olympics, maybe.
Yeah, that's always been the goal. Every time I go see Dana, and he's always like, are you going to train for 2028? I'm like, well, yeah, probably.
And is the goal then MMA and UFC after 28, if all goes according to plan, not before?
Yeah, I'm like trying to like think about it. I feel like that would be ideal. I've also like thought about maybe just doing like contender series like every summer, or maybe like twice a year. Just because college wrestling will be over, so I won't be like in school or anything. And I'll have like more time. Where I've thought about maybe just doing some prelim fights in the UFC. But it's just, I feel like I'm just going day by day, and when that time comes, me and Dad and my coaches will think what's best like for the plan.
And will you walk out to Amazing too?
I'll walk out to that when I have my first title fight. Everyone will go crazy off of that.
Absolutely. Frank, did you hear that what I said about Ian Freeman's daughter? Do you have any interest in this, or do you want to stay away from that?
Oh no! As far as a fight there, that'd be kind of a legacy fight, huh? But Bella, it seemed like, I mean, I was not aware of it until you were bringing it up. But then when you said that she fights at 125, I'm like, that makes things kind of difficult, because Bella is a bit of a it's not easy to make 135. Bella wrestles even 145. Walks around like in the mid 150s, and she's super lean, as anybody can see. So cutting down to 135. That's a pretty strict battle. In fact, actually, I didn't get to have dinner for Father's Day because Bella's here at the house while she's training for the fight, home for the summer. We had to wait till she took off. And then me and the boys and my wife snuck over and had all you can eat sushi. All right, now we can eat real quick. It's coast is clear, because it takes over the whole household, her making weight.
I can imagine. This is amazing. It's great to see. Congratulations to the whole family on all this great success. I know you're still involved in MMA in a big way, Frank, with UFL and everything that they're doing there, which is great as well. But nothing more important than this. Great to see you in your daughter's corner as well. It's a beautiful thing. So Bella, congratulations on all your success. Good luck to you on July 27th. Looking forward to that. And to Frank and Jennifer, congrats on being tremendous parents, raising such great kids. This was a lot of fun.
You.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, take care. There they are, Frank Mir, Bella Mir, Jennifer Mir, the whole family there. An amazing thing, and I have a feeling she's going to be a superstar. I have a feeling that, the UFC obviously very much behind her. Frank Mir was a huge part of the UFC, especially in those early days as they were getting off the ground, building the heavyweight division. UFC 100 main event was gigantic. Brock versus Frank, one of the most heated rivalries, I would say, in MMA history. And it was a no-brainer to have that headline UFC 100. They fought back at UFC 81. Steve Mazzagatti may have gotten in the way, but it was a win for Frank Mir, and a lot of people thought that maybe it was a little bit too soon for Brock. They ran it back at 100. Brock wins, goes up to the cage and starts foaming at the mouth. Incredible stuff. And I guess Bella told him that he should have went for the armbar. Love that. An amazing story, and definitely wish her the best. So UFC BJJ 1 was at the Apex, and some of us were at the Apex just a couple of weeks ago when we were there for International Fight Week in Las Vegas. Not Frank, not me, but GC and Rick may have infiltrated the Apex. We had someone following us behind the scenes. It was a great thing. We'll put it out tomorrow, about 25, 30 minutes. But I wanted to give you guys a taste of what GC and Rick were up to in Las Vegas. When some of us were sleeping, some of us were in Anaheim, they were infiltrating UFC HQ. Take a look.
Your Juliana Pena fight kid, bro.
Do we need to get you the Ilya one for tonight? Damn, it is crazy to see some of these faces.
Thanks for having us. Congrats on the new dig. Be water, my friend. Oh, it's Shannon Lee.
Shannon Lee, that's
like
dope.
his daughter.
That's been on there since it opened, and they just never erased it.
Oh, that's crazy. Daniel Santos, right, Willie Cat, Roman Dolidze, Marab.
Every episode, yeah, I was about to say, like, every episode of Embedded is Marab with a thing. Him and Paulo Costa.
Yeah. Blocking your guy DC. Holy shit, it's
Can't even look at it.
The amount of fucking time I've spent sat on my goddamn couch in the middle of the afternoon watching shit go down. Should have brought my tough jersey. Stick around later, we're bringing back women's 145. A bit of beef over at the Performance Institute between one Albazi and Johnson.
Is this just like a beauty light? What is this?
Probably, yeah. It was another great night at the Apex. I'm really happy with my performance. Who's got the next question?
Eric Jackman, uncrowned.com.
Yeah, hey, Eric.
How was your camp leading into this fight? How was your preparation?
It was great because I was training at the UFC PI. Oh yeah, this is actually pretty dope. Oh yeah. Don't let me get warmed up. Come on, Bob. Oh, he's dead. Yeah, spinning wheel kick probably not gonna go well for me. Oh, sorry, what's up, man? Sorry, what was that? Nothing like a nice pectoral punch to really thwart the enemy. All right, Sean. I came to you now. PI, I'm here to break your record. You won't bike against me, I'll just come smash everything you've ever worked for. Ding, ding, ding.
How's it smell? Look, I can't do it.
Nick Diaz.
Oh yeah, because they're sitting all the way over here. I swore it was like an actual light panel. That's crazy.
I thought it was too. Man, we're really getting to see behind the scenes today. All right, we just did a tour of the PI, of the UFC Apex. We swung by the store. We got some merch, mystery posters. These are signed by fighters. From whatever posters we got in there, we'll open them up on the watch party tonight. This was an Apex event. This was like Apex 94 or something. Oh, I got another fucking shitty Apex card. God damn it, they ripped us off so bad. Ay, Jesus, 3 Apex cards! Fuck, we got duped so bad! Pretty sick, I can't lie. We got to see the warehouse. We're really living it up. International Fight Week 2025.
The best. That is so good. That's one of the highlights of the BTS that comes out tomorrow. Guys, great job. I think my favorite part was the the press conference shot.
Yeah,
Rick all the way in the back.
I mean, we didn't have to do much. All we had to do was walk around.
What's crazy about it is there was no one there.
No one.
No.
There. We were legit the only ones. When we went to the Apex, it was us, the dude we were with, and then a guy sitting in front, the security guard. And he
No
was
one
like, "What's
stopped
up, guys? Come on in." We're like, "Thanks, man."
Yeah,
It was
that
great. Shout out to our guide.
Did it feel like you were, in hallowed ground? Like, did it feel like, I don't know.
Seeing the PI was pretty sick. Like the upstairs, we didn't really film any of that just because there were fighters that were fighting that night, like going through their warm ups and everything, shakeouts.
Cortez was there. Someone else.
Cortez was there. McKinney was there.
Yeah.
We saw Amir Albazi. We saw Charles Johnson. We saw Fluffy. So we kind of tried to stay low key there. But I mean, it was cool. Like those are scenes we've seen a million times on like the behind the scenes footage from the UFC, and then going to the Apex itself was just next level. Tough contender series, all 100 Apex cards that I've watched.
You got to see the Hall of Fame too.
What do you mean the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
The UFC Hall of Fame is a staircase. It's the wall with the plaques in the staircase walking up
Oh, the
to
belts that are on there?
Not the belts.
No. As you're walking up to where like the octagons
Apex
are
is,
at the PI, yeah.
That's the UFC Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's not much.
It's just a few plaques.
It's not much. The stairwell.
Yeah.
Did you know that the screen was just a backdrop? Did you know? I mean, the flashbulb thing?
No, I didn't.
I didn't know that. I've been a fan for this long. I had no idea.
I'm
I was
shocked it looks that way. Like,
yeah, me too.
How could it look that way?
I had no idea.
Magic of cameras?
It really
the depth
was
of field.
It was incredible how much everything is just it's all there. Like we got to see where they go for like their pressers and medias after the Apex card or before the Apex card. It's all just like self-contained. They can do everything from there. It was amazing.
The studio and all that. I'm sure there's a control room, right?
Oh yeah,
Similar to the one that we have.
Ton of them.
Oh, a ton, really?
Yeah, there's like 10 control rooms upstairs.
It's actually, as much as we hate the Apex, and what
Who the fuck is we?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm the number one Apex truther.
Who the fuck is we?
That's a good point. It is incredible what they built. It's incredible what they built to be able to do all of this in house.
They can do anything they need to
anywhere
for
in the
their
world,
product from there.
Yeah.
Now, there will be complaints about like this is not the right atmosphere, but in terms of the logistics of it, they have a fully self-contained, fully self-operating ship. It's pretty impressive.
I'm a little bit disappointed we don't have an Apex card coming up soon. I feel like I'm going to watch it through different eyes now.
Oh yeah. When is the next one? Late July?
I think early August. Because we got the Abu Dhabi card.
Right. That's right.
After July 19th.
UFC back this weekend.
Marab needs to go pick up his food. I should have told him that when he came in. He had like 8 bags waiting on him.
And all that's free, huh?
For the athletes, yeah.
I think if you're a UFC, it actually is amazing. I think we were talking about this off air last week. If you're a UFC fighter and not living in Las Vegas, like unless you're like super, super, super high level and you could do this all on your own, you can afford all of it. There really isn't a great reason as to not like you have all this free stuff at your disposal as far as therapy, training, the food. Why wouldn't you live in Las Vegas?
You're making a mistake if you are on the UFC roster and you are not there. Now, there's exceptions, right? You're talking about like the top of the top level who can afford to produce their own camps. If you're not that, you should be in Vegas.
1,000%. And the guy we were with told us that the like rehabilitation center there, like where they do massages and everything like that, is like of such a high quality that doctors will send normal patients there that like aren't even a part of the UCPI, to get recovery and stuff.
Well, it's in partnership with like a certain medical group, and so if you're just a person who has that insurance or part of that medical group, you can literally just go get your treatment at the UFC PI.
And go ahead.
I was gonna say in the cafeteria as well. There's like a giant sign, and it's just like 4 fighters. It was something like no sugar, no candy, no desserts, like very healthy eating made for you right there in house.
By the way, and now you'll see like you'll see Terrence Crawford there, Michaela Mayer's there. You'll see a ton of other boxers go there.
I remember back in the day, Deontay used to always be there.
Yes.
We were in that. Connor and I were facing off in that ring till he whispered, and then I had to break the stare. But we were in that boxing ring.
What a time!
Zuffa boxing.
You saw it, right?
Oh yeah, it's all over the mat, and
that's why they kept the name.
It's on each ring corner as well.
Makes all the sense. By the way, UFC X, how much is it?
35 per person, I think.
Well, that's not too bad.
Yeah,
I thought it would be more. Worth it?
If you are a fan of the sport, like if you are a diehard fan of this sport, you can't really experience anything else like that. I think it was lessened a little bit just because I'm around it so much. But like if you're taking the weekend, you were going to 317, then I think $35 is worth it.
$35 and that gets you anything. Like you don't have to pay for any autograph lines or anything.
No,
like that.
I think there. Are you sure? There's not a separate fee? Maybe not.
I think you just pay with your time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do have
The
to wait on
lines
a
are
long
very, very long.
In this like warehousey. No, is it like
No,
convention
it's
center?
a massive convention center.
Right,
like
right.
Yeah, like
spanning miles. It is.
I wish the camera was rolling. We actually got to ride on the Las Vegas Loop to get to the convention center. We got dropped off at one point, and then you get in this Tesla, and they're like, "Oh, welcome to the Las Vegas Loop," and then you drive underground, and it's like this trippy rainbow thing. It looks like the Willy Wonka tunnel, and then they pull up underground, and you're at the convention center.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was. It's like owned by Elon, the board company.
Oh, not Musk.
No. Elon Musk
Right.
he owns the board company.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
the board
Okay.
company.
I thought.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was
Boring? Is that what it
I
is?
think it's Boring Company.
Boring company.
Is that true?
Yeah.
The loop was not boring. It was crazy. We were all like, "Whoa, where are we going?"
To bore, like to
Got it.
the
Got
whole
it.
to-
Anyone come up to you there like, hey, you guys are?
quite a
you
few.
see- Oh, no, wait.
Wait, at
At the
UFC?
PI or
UFC,
you
yeah,
mean
yeah.
UFC X?
No.
You're
No one-
the BITB.
Nah.
No one could be bothered by us.
The bots in the back. Nothing.
We had a great moment with Fluffy Hernandez in the hot tub room. It was a will they won't they who's gonna walk through the door first moment. He was like, "Go ahead, guys." We were like, "No, after you." He's like, "Guys, come on, you guys go ahead." We're like,
And then he didn't
Look.
say,
"After you."
"I recognize y'all."
No, of course not.
And then
No.
on the way out, we saw him again, and he's like, "Have a great day." Like Fluffy
Wow.
Hernandez,
He's
number
standing
one
at the
nicest
door
guy.
as we're leaving, and he's just like, "See you guys, have a great rest
I
of your
wish
day."
Jordan
I
was
like,
there because this was the actual
Thanks,
nicest
Fluffy.
guy.
Wow. Love it.
He could maul me for 25 consecutive minutes.
Well, shout out to the UFC. You know, a lot of people think that, we're not welcome, this and that. Clearly, good standing. Otherwise, they wouldn't roll out the red carpet like that.
There is still time. This could have been like an undercover op agency. We did have to fill out all this information, take pictures, everything like
geez.
that. So,
Is that true?
yeah.
I mean, it is a corporate HQ, right?
Yeah, we had to get our like badges and stuff.
Oh,
Fill out the name, take a picture.
do the whole thing. Loved it. And this entire BTS video is going to come out tomorrow, I do believe. I do believe that is the plan. Yes? Is that the latest?
That is the plan.
The video, I think Frank is doing a few tweaks to the audio.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And this will be posted tomorrow. But I wanted to give you guys a taste, a little je ne sais quoi, just a little something to change the palette,
Change up the composition.
Yeah, just a little something. The composition, that's right. So that you can see what we're talking about. We got some big things planned. In fact, shout out to No Context Ariel, who posted the great Twitter account, No Context Ariel. You guys are familiar? Who posted that we had over, I think, 7 million or so views last month. June was a big month for us. So I guess still the bread. I don't know. Said we were toast, still the bread. You get the reference?
Yeah, man, I picked up on it.
Yeah. Is Petesy still back there?
Nah, he's actually never even came back in here.
He jetted.
He needed a table desperately to quote unquote work. I went out to refill my water bottle, and he was
just
sitting there
sitting.
eating pretzels with his laptop slammed shut.
Just looking?
Yeah, he's
Looking
talking with Big EKC.
Oh, okay. All right. Love it. By the way, shout out to the Toronto Blue Jays. I believe it's now 7 in a row. First place. Incredible. Very exciting. The Yanks are floundering. I'm sorry to Pat on our team.
Not great.
Yeah, Pat, Jordan. Yeah. Pat's diehard. Pat's like super diehard. I think they swept them. Did they sweep them? Was that?
That may or may not have happened. You
Yeah,
cannot
yeah.
confirm.
There was a bit of a sweep situation, and then swept the Angels as well. I think it's 7 sweep of 4-game 3. Anyway,
They're not really a first place team.
no,
I don't know
no,
if you
no.
heard Michael
Yes,
K, but
Michael
not
K said
really a first place
I
team.
got it. Yes, run differential, all this stuff. In any event, looking forward to having Nakisa Bidarian in studio in about 25 or so minutes time. But for now, let's go to our next guest, who is one of the stars of International Fight Week. We're still buzzing after that fight against Brandon Royval. What a showdown, what a fight, what action. It was incredible to watch. And as a result, he is now the number 1 contender at 125 pounds. He is your friend and mine, the pride of Myanmar, the one and only Joshua Van, who is kind enough to join us. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. How you doing?
It's great to see you again. By the way, can I ask, how has life changed for you since that fight? Because I can't talk to anyone about MMA or about the UFC since that fight without someone saying like, yo, Joshua Van, this guy's my new favorite fighter. This guy's unbelievable. So I can't imagine what you're getting. What has life been like since the fight for you?
Everything's good. The social media wise, like, it changed a lot of things, but I'm still the same me, man. Outside of social media, I'm still the same guy, still doing the same old thing. You know what I mean? So life is still the same.
The head's not getting bigger. You're not feeling yourself. You're not Mr. Superstar now. You're not acting like that.
Nah, man, I learned. I learned from my last mistake,
Okay.
So I ain't trying to do all that no more.
But what was that mistake? What did you do?
You know what I mean? I got big head. I don't want to train. Like, no, not that I don't want to train. I train, but I'll be like, look, I feel like I can beat this guy without training and things like that. But I don't want to make the same mistake. You know what I mean? I'm still learning right now.
By the way, I think it was after the fight, you had mentioned that maybe your toe had been broken, but now it sounds like no broken toe, right?
No, no, they say it was just like dislocated or something. So it was just like very painful at that time. But I'm good now. Like, I'll probably let it rest for a couple weeks, couple
Okay.
more, and then we back.
When you accepted the fight against Royval, and it was just a couple of weeks after your fight here in the tri-state area, in New Jersey to be exact, Newark, were there any doubts in the back of your mind, like, hey, maybe I'm doing a little too much here, maybe this is a little too soon, or were you say all the right things, but internally, how were you feeling heading into the fight?
Nah, I always feel confidence that I can beat the guys, you know what I mean? Even my last fight, like when they was doing media, I was limping and all that shit. And then they was like, hey man, Josh, you gonna do the face off with the champ. And I forgot all about my foot. You know what I mean? So like it's like when you get a call for the fight, I think something just changed inside me, you know what I mean? So like I just forget all about the injury.
I'm going to ask you about that face-off in a moment, but regarding the fight, I'm assuming you've watched it in its entirety since it happened?
Which fight?
This one, the
This
Royval one.
Bro, that guy's tough, man. When I was in the cage, I didn't think it was like that much of a great fight. But then I rewatch it, I was like, damn, we some dog, you know?
Yo, it's such a fun fight. It's such an incredible fight. Probably the fight of the year as we sit here today. And I'm just wondering, you guys are in the pocket. You're freaking going toe to toe. It's just all action. The amount of strikes being thrown by the two of you. Are you thinking at any point, like, what do I? Even in the final seconds, you drop him, but he doesn't go away. Are you thinking, what do I have to do to put this guy away? Jesus Christ, he's taking all these shots and he's still coming forward.
Yeah, even in the first and second round, I heard him a couple times. But every time I heard him, he come back stronger. You know what I mean? So the third round, I was like, because the first round, it was like clear that I won that first round, right? But the second round, that's when he changed his timings and his speed and things like that. So it was kind of like hard for me to readjust again, right? Because I thought I got him already in the first round. So in the second round, he just changed everything. And I was like, okay, let me adjust to it. And then in the third round, like I kind of got his timing, but then he is like, he's not fast, but he's not slow. So his timing is weird. So I have to like, you know what I mean, readjust to that timing as well.
So is this story accurate? After the fight, you're backstage and you see Hunter and Dana and tell them you want to go in the cage. Was it your idea?
No, I didn't see them in the backstage. I saw them cage side.
Okay.
They were standing and they was clapping, and then I was like, "Hey, man, Hunter, can I do the face off?" And he was like, "We might call you."
Wow. So you stayed there. You came back, you got changed, and you stayed there.
Yeah.
Because usually they don't do that sort of thing. Like, especially if you fought just, the fight prior, they don't have the winner, sit there. I thought it was a brilliant idea, and apparently your idea. Like, do you think they would have asked you to do it had you not brought it up?
To be honest, I thought it was a normal thing, but a lot of people say it, hey, bro, they never done that. I was like, oh, look, I'm blessed enough to, you know what I mean, for them to give me that chance. So I'm very grateful for that.
It was brilliant. So you got to watch Pantoja, firsthand, up close, beat Kaikar France. What did you think of what you saw?
It was a good fight, but like my head wasn't all there, like 'cause,
Yeah.
like I was so exciting, like I was so excited to be there, you know what I mean? And you got to remember, I never go to a UFC event. Like I think that was like probably like my second time. Because the first fight it was Daniel Pineda fighting San Antonio, and then after that I never go to no UFC event or nothing. So like for me to sit at the front row, it was just, you know what I mean? So my head wasn't there.
So okay, usually when you're fighting, you're in the back, and then when the fight's over, you just kind of leave, right? You don't get to sit and take it all in.
Yeah.
Man,
So it was crazy.
you must have been loving it. And so when he calls you in, what are you feeling in that moment? Now you're face to face with the champ. 6 months ago, you were nowhere near the title picture.
Yeah, it was crazy because I don't like when I walk in the cage, I didn't even know what to do. I walk in there, and then when Joe Rogan asked me a question, I thought we was done, and then he was like, shout out to the champ, man. He was like, "Hey, look, we got to do the face off."
I like that. That was smart. That was smart.
Yeah, I forgot about the face off. I thought after he interviews me, I thought we was done.
I love that because it showed he was very nice. He was very respectful, cordial, but it showed that he gets the promotional side of things. And then you put the arm up. What does the arm up represent? Does it represent anything other than I'm the man?
Yeah, I'm the man. I'm about to take that belt. That's what it means. You know what I mean? So it showed that I'm confident, that I'm ready to take him over.
You know what's interesting about Pantoja? One of the nicest guys, but I felt like in that face-off, like he switched in a moment. What did you see when you were looking at him?
See, I don't really care about the face-off, man.
All right.
People want to look hard when they face off. I'm like, man, come on, we gonna fight in the cage. You know what I mean?
So you weren't impressed by any of it?
Nah, man. Everybody want to look hard. Like when we face off, everybody change their face. Like, come on, like it's cool.
I liked what you said though. You said something to the effect of like he's beaten a lot of tough guys, but he's never beaten me. He's never fought anyone like me. Something to that effect, right?
Yeah, he's a great champion, but he had never fought Joshua Van.
There it is. There it is. Yes, and you believe that because he has fought some tough guys. You believe no one like you.
There's no one like me. You know what I mean? The fighting style that I bring, and like the no respect. You know what I mean? I don't give respect to nobody in that cage. So, you know what I mean? I respect him as a man. I respect what he done in our division. But when we fight, there's no respect at all.
So that's an interesting word, respect, because you could still, when you say respect, you could still have respect for what someone has done or who they are, and maybe that makes you fight a certain way. When you say no respect, what do you mean by that? You don't put him on a pedestal. You don't think of him as Pantoja the champion. What do you specifically mean when you say that?
You know how a lot of people said, he's good on this, he's good at like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody like, he's the next level, this and that. Like, look at Roy Vaughn, when they said, his pressure is gonna be too much, right? But I didn't give him no respect, when he was pressuring me. I don't give him no respect. I stay calm. I'll do my thing. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be the same thing. I'm not gonna let him do his thing. And I feel like a lot of people, because they know that his grappling is so much that they so scared of him taking them down that they end up getting taken down. You know what I mean?
What about this Manel Cap who said, quote, "I would murder both Van and Royval on the same night"? What do you make of that?
See, I didn't see that. I don't know. Oh,
there it is.
On Twitter?
Yeah.
See, I don't have him on Twitter, so I don't see this. But the interview guys asked me about that thing. He was like, "Cop said he smoked both of you." But I'm like, man, then why you always pull it out, man? You know what I mean? I was saving his ass from getting his ass whooped. I feel like Royval will beat the shit out of him.
I was just going to ask you that. You think if Cap fights that night against Royval, the same Royval that you fought, you think Royval beats the shit out of him?
Beat the shit out of him.
Wow. Not even close.
Maybe the first round, but then he would drown him in the second and third.
Wow. Well, maybe one of these days you run into him, but obviously you have a big test ahead of you. If we would have talked in January about like, all right, what are your big plans for 2025? Where do you hope to be by the end of the year? Realistically, what would you have said?
Champion.
You believed it. You thought things.
I think I said this in the interview one time. Yeah, I always thought I'd be a champion by the end of this year.
Wow.
And I write it down on the paper and I pray to, you know what I mean, manifest that. So I like in the morning I'm like, world champion.
So you have that paper written down somewhere.
Yeah, is at my other house. I always have this. I think this is like so I started writing down 2022. So this is like my fourth year.
Okay. Oh, so at the end of every year you say this?
No, I write down everything I do. Like, let's say I'm doing an interview with you right now.
Yeah.
It's going to be paper.
Wow.
So just because that just keep you in track, you know what I mean? So whether you fucked up for the days or like you do good things, and then when you go back and read it, you're like, man, I should have done so much better today, you know what I mean? So it just keep you in track.
Wow, wow, wow. I love this. So in January or December of last year, you would have said end of 2025 you'd be champ.
Yes. I said we're gonna take over this year.
Incredible. So you're not surprised by any of this?
No.
Has anything surprised you? I mean, look at that. 5 wins in the last 10 months. That's not normal. That doesn't happen to a lot of people. And of course, you have made a lot of this happen. You're ready to go. You take the opportunities. You beat the guys, of course. But has anything surprised you about this journey?
Nothing surprised me, but like some moment just gave me like more excitement, you know what I mean? But surprise wise, I'm not surprised because we put in the work and I believe in my team. My team believe in me. And I believe in my God, you know what I mean? So he always answered my prayers.
What are they saying back home? Are they reaching out to you? Are you getting a ton of coverage back home? What's it been like?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I just got surprised by my crush, my childhood crush.
Come on.
One of the actors from Myanmar, you know. That was cool. That was cool.
So she reached out to you?
Yeah, I got interviewed by this big platform in Myanmar, and then they was like, "Hey, close your eyes," and then you know what I mean. They count 5 seconds, and then she came and and she was like, "Hey, Joshua, how you doing? Like, I'm supporting you and things like that." So it was crazy.
When's the last time you talked to this girl?
Like 2 days ago.
Oh no! I mean, prior to all of this.
What you mean? She's famous, bro. I don't talk to her like
She's famous? Who is she? Who is she?
She's famous as fuck, bro. Her name Muhegu from Myanmar. She's an actress from Myanmar.
Incredible. And now she's supporting, and she was your childhood crush.
Yeah, I used to watch all her movies and shit like that, yeah.
Oh, you see, when you said childhood crush, I thought like this was like a kid in your class that you had a crush on.
No, she is like way out of my league.
Yo, but now she's on your radar. How old is she?
I don't know. She's a little older, but you know, age is just a number, right?
Yo, let's go, Joshua, man. We can make this happen. Now you're one of the most famous people from Myanmar in the world. You're known worldwide. Is she known worldwide, or is she just known in Myanmar? You're probably more famous than her.
I would say that, man. She's, you know what I mean?
Yo, you're gonna have a situation where you're gonna be rolling up to the fights, and she's gonna be, you know, like how people roll up with the +1, with the wife, with the girlfriend. Now you're gonna be the star couple. You're gonna be the power couple.
That would be crazy. That would be crazy for sure.
I love it. By the way, I do believe you're gonna be the first fighter born in the 2000s to fight for a UFC belt, right?
Yes.
That's huge. What a great distinction. Making me feel very old though as a human being, but we're now officially in the 2000s era.
Yeah, like I said, the new era of fighting is here.
When do you think this fight happens?
Hopefully this year.
Have they given you any indication?
No phone call. We're just waiting for the phone call right now, and then after that, we're gonna study him, and then back in the gym.
He has said that he wants to fight December or so. He likes the June-December range. Do you like that? Are you okay with that? I mean, obviously he's the champ, so he gets to dictate the terms. But if you know you're so active these days, would a 5-month break between fights be good for you?
Yeah. Whatever the champ want, you know what I mean? So I feel like that's perfect for me as well because I'm still gotta heal up, you know what I mean, my toes and all that. So I think that would give me a little more time for me to prepare for him too. So perfect, whatever you want, as long as it's this year. And I think the fans want to see.
Hell yeah,
this year for sure.
When you think of the fight, when you sort of, I know it's early now, but when you sort of digest it, how do you see this fight going? He has been so good as of late. He has been on such a roll. He has been so dominant. How do you feel it going?
Yeah, that's exactly what I said because a lot of people give him respect, right? I mean, like respect is good, but when you showing too much respect, you're just letting another man playing his game. You know what I mean? So that's hard to deal with. Like even when he fought, see, like Kai, his last fight, I rewatched it like last night, right? I feel like Kai didn't fight the way he usually fight, right? Usually he would throw and trying to land them punches, but right now, like last fight, he was worried about getting taken down. That he don't, you know what I mean? He don't throw like he usually do, things like that. So I'm not gonna be the same way. I'm gonna do my thing. If you take me down, I'm gonna get back up, and then we're gonna fight again.
Gosh, I love it. I love it. You have. I was just watching an old clip from back in 2019 where the UFC was this close to getting rid of the flyweight division. Henry Cejudo was about to fight T.J. Dillashaw, and for this to kind of come on my radar a week after your fight against Brandon, which is one of, if not the best fights of the year, and you have brought so much joy and so much excitement to the division. Like the thought of it going away is actually completely absurd at this point. But it's just amazing what you've done in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. You know what I mean? Um, Man, I'm just very, very excited for our division right now, especially when we got a guy like myself, Pantoja, and then like there's like the top 1 to top 10
Yeah.
really like killers, you know what I mean? So 125 division right now is very, very exciting.
And the amount of strikes that you throw, the activity, your pace, it definitely makes you one of the most popular fighters in the sport, which is a great thing to see. What do you say to people who say this is happening a little bit too soon? That maybe a couple more fights. Don't jump into the deep end just yet. What do you say to those people?
Yeah, but who do I fight?
Yeah.
Like number one guys, when they offered me Roy Vol, they said the same thing. They was like, we love Van, but I think this is too early, or be like, man, this guy's too cocky. But I don't think I'm cocky. You know what I mean? I'm just confident in my work, and I just believe in my team. And when my team say you ready, I'm ready.
Last time we spoke, you had I think you had just bought your mom a new house, right? And now you're talking about your different houses. Now you got different houses. It looks like you're in an empty room over there. Is this? And now you just got houses all over the place.
Oh, this my mom new house.
Oh,
I
okay.
just stuff and shit. So that's why I'm like, I'm gonna do interview here.
I
This little office room right here.
do you live with your mom?
I have to. It's gonna be me and my mom.
I love that. So is that your choice? Is there a reason why you want to live with her, be so close to her?
Yeah, you know what I mean? My dad passed away 2017, so I'm the only man in the house. So you know what I mean? I gotta take care of my mom. Keep
What does she think of all this success that you're having?
she's very happy. You know what I mean? Like I said, she supported me see my first fight. You know what I mean? So without her, I would have never been here. So she just very, very happy, man. You know what I mean?
Was she at the fight on Saturday?
Yes.
She was there. Wow, love it. And I'm assuming she'll be at
Yeah,
every single one.
every single one.
Damn, did she get nervous?
Yeah, she do. But like, yeah, like I remember when she told me she was about to pass out and all that, but I like, hey, look, she did it.
By the way, who gave you the Fearless nickname?
Myself.
You just gave it to yourself.
Yeah, so I did some smoker fight and this ref was like, man, I like this kid. Like I really like this kid, man. I'm gonna name him the Savage, right? And I'm like, I don't like that. So I was training and then I told my coach, I was like, hey man, can you find a nickname for me? And she was like, yeah, 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 I will. And then but then he never come up with one. So one day I was watching Viking movie. I think it's called The Last Kingdom. And there was this guy like Ragnar the Fearless. and I like the way he carry himself and things like that. And I look at my fighting style, I'm like, the fearless.
Wow. Yeah, and you certainly give up that vibe, my man. It's a lot of fun to watch you fight. You brought a lot of joy, a lot of excitement to the division. And I mean, that fight, like I said, fight of the year. And maybe by the end of this year, if everything goes to plan and you fight Pantoja, you could be the male fighter of the year. You could be the breakout fighter and the male fighter of the year. Is that something that's on your mind?
I see. I don't want no fight of the year things. I want to get the knockout and then get the fuck out. Cause my last fight, I get hit too many for no
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah, no, I get that. But I'm talking about fighter of the year, like the male fighter of the year.
Yes, yes, I want that for sure.
Yeah.
Not fight of the year.
No, no more. No more?
Maybe performance of the night, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, like cause my last 3 fights I didn't get touched, but this guy, man, I think he hit me for all my last 3 fights.
Yeah. There was no part of you that enjoyed that. Like you say, like, oh, it was actually kind of fun to be in a scrap.
In the fight, yes, but then like when I rewatch the fight, I'm like, damn, I should get hit with those,
Yeah.
So yeah, I gotta get better for sure.
What a great fight on paper. Can't wait to watch it. Can't wait to see how it all plays out. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun to watch you do your thing. So thank you again, Joshua. Appreciate it very much. Congratulations on the great win, on all your success. Good luck in training. And I echo what you said. I hope we get to see it by the end of the year. That would be amazing. So all the best to you, my man. Thank you again.
Sir, thank you for having me.
Pleasure. There he is, Joshua Van, the pride of Myanmar. I need to find out who the childhood crush is. I thought he was talking about a classmate from back in the day that like was his high school sweetheart or elementary crush or something like that. Not a famous person from Myanmar, which is probably even cooler that she's now supporting him. I can't imagine what the love, what the attention, what the coverage is like back home. It must be amazing. By the way, these were the UFC champions when Josh Van was born. Randy Couture at heavyweight, Tito Ortiz at light heavyweight, Dave Manet at middleweight, Carlos Newton at welterweight, Jens Pulver at lightweight. There was no flyweight division. There was no bantamweight division in the UFC. There was no featherweight division. And now here he is about to fight for the UFC title, probably, hopefully, if all goes according to plan, by the end of the year, which would just be an incredible. Him versus Pantoja would just be, I mean, not a lot of trash talk, not a lot of back and forth, but you don't need it when you got guys like that. Incredible stuff. All right, this Friday, massive deal here in New York City, the greatest arena in the history of mankind, the world's most famous arena, trademark that. The Mecca, the home of the Knicks, Rangers, and boxing. Some of the most famous fights in boxing history have taken place at Madison Square Garden. March 8th, 1971, Ali Frazier won the fight of the century. On Friday, we'll be able to put July 11th, 2025 in that same conversation, dare I say. All-female card, spanning 5 fights. I do believe it's around 21 titles on the line. It's an insane number. And of course, multiple undisputed title fights, multiple unified title fights, the biggest rivalry, the first real trilogy in pro women's boxing, and it's on the biggest platform there is, Netflix. Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano 3. It's a great pleasure to have the co-founder of Most Valuable Promotions right here and now to talk about it all. There he is, my friend and yours, the great Nakisa Bidarian. Hello, sir. How are you? Good to see you. Please have a seat. Yes. It's a tight one. I said, I'm getting an hour with Nakisa. They said in 30 minutes, don't waste his time.
They didn't say we only.
Last time it was an hour, and I'm getting 30 minutes because you're a busy guy.
We're filming the Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano face-to-face today. So I got
we are.
Go there.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
It's good to have you here. What a crazy couple of weeks for you.
It's been a great couple of weeks. Obviously, a lot of disruption in many different ways, but we're super excited. We're here for the biggest women's boxing event in history, live on Netflix globally. Jake is now a ranked fighter, so we're feeling good.
Yes. By the way, when you say disruption, what do you mean by that?
Disruption, good and bad, right? The good is what we've achieved in such a short amount of time, and the bad is the haters who continue to try to break us down, to take take down Jake's accomplishments and what he's done, and that's disruption as well.
So in the immediate aftermath of the Jake fight, I saw both you and him very vocal on social media. By the way, welcome to X, the Nakisa Bidarian account, very active. And you guys this time were saying like, okay, we used to laugh off the haters, now we're coming after you.
Yeah.
We're going to sue you if you accuse us of nefarious dealings, right?
I think, look, stating like, hey, I think this or I think that, but when you definitively state that Jake is putting on staged or rigged fights, then that's just defamation. And you're causing substantial damage to his business, to MVP's business, and something that's 100% not true, right? It's a federal crime to stage a fight. And so that's why we're going to get a lot more aggressive in going after these individuals who make these statements. And in the world of social media, these false statements get carried in a way that people start to believe the narrative, right? And that was the genesis of the issues with Dana White, because he was the one that was saying Jake's fights are rigged, Jake's using steroids, and that's how that all came to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're in a place where people just can't believe what Jake is doing, is how I look at it, so they have to say it's staged.
Rick, you good? Rick wants to do something here. He's busy. Oh, he's fixing the microphone. There it is. He's working hard. All right. Have you started any of that?
We are in the process, yes.
I mean, like elephant in the room, Piers Morgan, you're going after, like, are you going to come after these people?
100%.
Wow. Okay. They've crossed the line.
100%. Enough is enough. The time has passed that Jake has shown what he's able to do in the ring, and people still want to criticize. That's okay. But don't make false accusations. Don't make statements that definitively damage his brand, his business, MVP's profile, MVP's brand.
How can you put a number on this? Like, how damaging is that?
Not to be discussed here, but the damage is we're in business with DAZN, we're in business with Netflix, we're in business with Celsius. Shout out to Celsius.
Yes, right here.
That's the damage that you're causing, because you're having us have to have conversations with our partners that are just unjustifiable.
So can you definitively say you are going to be suing Piers Morgan for what he has said about Jake's fights? Because there was a contentious interview there between them at the beginning of that fight.
I can definitively say that our legal representation is looking at multiple individuals to go after.
What did you think of the fight itself, the performance? And we're kind of going in chronological order here, so we'll get Jake out of the way. What did you think of the performance on June 28th?
So going into it, what I looked at it as was Jake's biggest challenge. And the reason I say that is Jake has fought very accomplished, experienced MMA fighters that are much tougher opponents than the majority of the boxers that athletes face in boxing earlier in their career, right? And then he faced Tommy Fury fairly early in his career as a boxer. For Jake, Tommy's been boxing since he was a kid. You can argue whether he's great or not, but his pedigree is boxing. And Jake lost in a split decision, fairly close fight. The next two pure boxers he fought were Andre August and Ryan Borland. Much more accomplished boxers than Jake from a traditional perspective, right? One guy was 10-1, the other guy was 18-2, Golden Gloves champion. But the calculus there was those were two guys who'd never been under the bright lights. Mm-hmm. And even though Jake had an experience deficit, he had a mental advantage. And that's what I believe happened in both of those fights. He took him out in the first round. When it came to Chavez, it's a guy who had the in-ring experience and the big lights experience. So I was nervous about that, assuming Chavez had a great training camp. In regards to the weight, Jake weighed in at 199, Chavez weighed in at 198. California State Athletic Commission, extremely professional, does a second-day weigh-in at the arena. Jake weighed in at 209 and Chavez weighed in at 213. So Jake was the smaller man in the ring that night. And I thought for 5 rounds, Jake totally neutralized Chavez. And people can say, oh, he didn't throw for 5 rounds. No, it's because Jake was much more active, much more sharp for those first 5 rounds. As Jake got a little fatigued, Chavez got a little bit more, opportunistic. But I was proud of the way that Jake fought back in those later rounds. It wasn't like Chavez was throwing and Jake was just covering up and holding him. There was a back and forth exchange. And if you look at the punch stats, extremely close in rounds 8, 9, and 10. So overall, very pleased with his performance.
And so then I have to ask, he gets the win on Saturday, and then on Thursday we get this crazy news that Chavez has been detained by ICE. Did you have any idea that this was in the works, that they were looking at him?
In the works? Absolutely not, right? I got a text early Thursday morning, East Coast, probably around 4 a.m. from a immigration advocate that I know. and he said, just FYI, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. has been detained by ICE. And I said, what? And then later in the day, we'd find out more details. I think the confusing part is they identified him as someone to go after June 27th. Why it took until the following Wednesday night, I have no idea. I'm sure they certainly knew where he was going to be on June 28th.
Right. And do you know where he stands right now? Where he is?
No idea.
No idea.
No idea.
Like the footage of him being detained in handcuffs is wild because it was literally 3-4 days prior that he's in a ring
on a big stage.
Yes.
Globally.
Yes.
Yes.
And so this never came up beforehand to where like
if it came up beforehand, we couldn't go forward with the event.
Right.
Right. The idea of ICE coming to the arena where we're putting on an event that is heavily Mexican influenced, that would never be something that we would consider doing.
Sure. Do you know what his status is as far as like, will you be able to?
No idea.
No idea. Okay. That is a crazy one. Among the list of crazy things that you guys have had to deal with over the last few years. And it's interesting because even when we were talking about, the tweets and potential legal action, I do feel we're getting to this point. You're coming off the Tyson fight. This has been an interesting year so far for you and Jake and for MVP. The Canelo stuff. And then the sort of like open battle with Turkey and whatnot. How would you describe the first 6 or 7 months for you and Jake and the company? Because there was a lot of drama there at the beginning, right?
I think fully disruptive and continuing to be a, leading voice in this sport when we have a small company versus some pretty big boys with big pockets. And I wouldn't say we're in a battle with Turkey. Turkey may find it convenient to constantly take shots at Jake, but that's okay. That's no different than when Dana White was taking shots at Jake, right? That means we're relevant. That means we're actually a topic of conversation. So no problem with that. Chavez Jr. was someone we wanted to fight right after Tyson, July 20th, right? July 20th was going to be Tyson last year and then Chavez. That fight got postponed, so the Chavez plans got postponed. When the Canelo opportunity was presented to us in early December of last year, of course we jumped on it, because that would have been a monumental moment for boxing. Much bigger than Canelo versus Crawford. No matter what hardcore boxing or MMA fans tell you, that fight would have crossed over just like Jake Paul and Mike Tyson did. So Jake was interested in it because he wants to do big, massive things that bring attention to boxing. He did that last November, and we're here for the biggest fight week in women's boxing history. And I was interested in it because I felt like it was a good test for Jake at that point of his career. And even if he lost, it wouldn't matter. He was losing to Canelo. But Jake fully believed he had a really good shot of knocking Canelo out, given the size advantage.
When you're literally on the goal line of making this happen, and then it gets pulled from you in that whole public back and forth, do you not say to yourself, like, man, fuck this. What do I need this shit for? What do I need this stress in my life for? This is too much.
No, I said everything happens for a reason, right?
Really?
100%. Because who knows what would have happened to Jake Paul in that fight if the fight went forward, is the way I looked at it. Mm-hmm. There was a reason that God decided that this wasn't the moment in time for this fight to happen. Now, once Jake gets a cruiserweight belt one day, maybe that's when it happens and Canelo goes to get a belt in a different weight class. I don't know.
Could you clear something up? Did you ever tell Canelo, hey, if you take this fight, we don't want you fighting Crawford? In other words, why couldn't he have done both?
Did we tell him that?
Yeah.
We were certainly not in a position to tell Canelo anything.
So it wasn't like you were trying to sign him to a 2-fight deal.
No.
We were
partnering with Canelo
for that one fight,
for
May
that
4th,
one fight. Absolutely.
And then, or May 3rd, and then
he could do. He'd already signed I think a 3-fight deal at the time. Then it became a 4-fight deal with Riyadh Season.
Because there is an argument to be made. You fight Jake, you kick his ass. Now the Crawford fight is bigger in September.
It would have been 10 times bigger.
Right.
10 times.
So why do you
bigger.
think they made such a big deal to say, hey, no, you can't do this. Fight Skull instead?
Because you don't want to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on a fight and it doesn't meet the viewership of a Jake Paul fight versus Canelo, right? I think him fighting Jake, you could say, devalues in their mind the specialness of what they have with Canelo versus Crawford. And that's a way to look at it. That's totally fine. I believe exactly what you believed. No matter the outcome of that fight, everyone was going to win in Canelo versus Jake Paul.
What you guys are doing now in this sort of battle reminds me a lot of Scott Coker and Strikeforce versus the UFC circa 2011, 2010. And what I mean by that is...
Well, Strikeforce didn't win that battle, so I don't like that analogy.
Okay, no. Okay, they did gain a lot of momentum though.
Yeah.
And part of why they gained so much momentum was because of women's MMA. That was the one thing that the UFC wasn't doing at the time. And I'm wondering if this was part of the calculus where you were like, okay, they have the deep pockets and they're going to try to make these mega fights, but for whatever reason, clearly they're not booking
Zero, Ariel.
Nothing.
We started MVP August of 2021, and we had 3 priorities, and one of them was women's boxing.
Okay.
We signed Amanda Serrano September of 2021, and she's been a priority since that day and continues to be a priority. The last thing we're thinking about is what someone else is doing on the men's side and how it reflects on the women's side. What I will say is that we have genuinely been interested and passionate about women's boxing, and that hasn't changed, and it's going to continue to be the case.
So you put Katie and Amanda co-main of Jake and Mike, and they steal the show. Let's be real. Now they are the show, right?
Yeah.
Now they are the show. Now and then you have this idea of having a full women's card. When did that start? Was it like backstage at AT&T Stadium? You're with the Netflix exec saying like, when can we do the trilogy? And we want to now do it with this idea. How did it get to this point of July 11th, going from that fight in November to now and the whole card being women?
Look, that night, Netflix executives came into Jake's locker room to congratulate him. And they said, we want to do more, right? But they said, what we really want to do right now is sign up the trilogy of Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano.
Right now, they're
like we're ready to sign.
Wow.
And it reminded me of the story that Lorenzo Fertitta used to say around the
Kevin
first
K.
Ultimate Fighter coming back, and they did something on the napkin. We didn't do it. Netflix is a little bit larger than what Spike was at the time, and probably has more, thresholds to get through before they can sign off on something like that. But it was clear they saw the value. And I would say within 2 weeks, in speaking with the Netflix executive team, I was clear on the vision of wanting to have an all-women's card, and this really being the mountaintop of Katie and Amanda bringing eyeballs to all of these great fighters that we've now signed to MVP and that are on this card. And Netflix bought in right away. And I would say Katie and Amanda both said the same thing. We love it. Just get us the best. We want the best of women's boxing on this card. And not every top fighter is on this card, but you've never seen a collection of top pound-for-pound fighters in the sport on one card, ever, male or female. So that's what we're doing.
21 titles total, right?
21 world titles on the line.
Across 5 different fights, 8 total.
Those are world titles.
World titles.
Yeah, there's also Chantel's interim title as well.
And right now, as far as women, how many have you signed to MVP?
About 32.
And how many men?
I think 9.
So is there going to be a point where MVP is all women?
No, that's not the plan.
Okay.
But there's definitely a specific strategy to provide a platform and opportunity for the best women in boxing to be under one umbrella and to enable the best fights to happen if the fighters want to fight. I always say this. The UFC has John Jones and Tom Aspinall, right? No barriers to entry other than making an offer and the 2 fighters accepting it. That's the ideal situation. That didn't work out in that scenario, and there may be instances at MVP that it doesn't work out. But if we can have all the barriers to the side, it's one organization. There's no sanctioning body hurdle. There's no promoter hurdle. There's no network hurdle. That's the best way to grow women's boxing.
Would you like for it to come to a point where it's an MVP title as opposed to the WBC title on the line?
I think if we have the collection of talent that we believe that we're going to have, it doesn't matter, right? Ultimately, the title is a marketing tool. The title is not the success of the fighter. Conor McGregor comes back today. He will do the biggest numbers in the UFC. He has no title, right? Jake Paul, top 3 fighter globally, no matter how you want to slice it. He has no title. So Amanda Serrano, whether or not she's fighting for a title, she's a massive name. So it's not the focus of, hey, the MVP belt. We certainly have a most valuable belt in our vision, but it doesn't matter to us.
I bring this up because, of course, TKO is talking about having their own belt, right? And so I'm wondering if from the world you came from the UFC world, do you believe, is that a thing that you say that could actually be good for boxing because there'll be less politics, there'll be less division, or do you like the old way?
I think both are viable. I think on the women's side, it's an easier path to having what TKO is trying to accomplish because there isn't as much ingrained equity value in the champions and their belts the same way. There's 2 or 3 of them, right? But it's not as deep. And I think, look, can it be good for boxing? Yes, if you're fighter first. If you're actually doing this for the fighters and not just to make profit, yeah, I think it could be good.
Do you think it would be good if they got rid of the Ali Act?
I don't think the Ali Act has been that relevant to be honest, right? I think it's something that's been put in place and hasn't been actually like enforced in many occasions. End of the day, if you do the right things by the fighters and are transparent, the Ali Act is not important.
Is there I hate to use the word rematch clause because that would suggest a second, but if Amanda or Katie wins, can any of them trigger another fight, a fourth fight?
There was a rematch clause in the first 2 fights in Katie's favor.
Katie's favor, okay.
Yes. So if Amanda had won, there would have been a rematch.
Yeah.
In this third fight, there's no rematch clause on either side.
Do you think this is truly the last time we see them fight, or Amanda wins, Katie wants to do it again?
I've not had that discussion once, to be honest.
Okay.
And look, we're looking at this as the final installment of Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano.
Do you think it's possibly, and I know, she's worked with Matchroom for a long time, so maybe they would know better, but is it possibly the last time we see Katie fight? What's the sense you're getting?
Have you watched the Countdown show?
I did. It was tremendous. There was one dude in a double-breasted who was phenomenal throughout, I thought. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, you were on it. That's right. So I didn't realize that Katie's father
incredible
come back.
That gave me chills. Yeah.
It's look, it's an unbelievable story. It's great to see. That was the first moment I said to myself, either one, they feel like they need to change something, which why would they? They're 2-0 on paper, and she's been extremely successful with her current trainer. Or two, she may be thinking this is her last fight, and she wants to experience that professional fight with her father. That's my own thinking. I have no inside track, no knowledge. I saw her today. We didn't talk about that. So I don't know, but I think there's a real possibility.
Do you know if he'll be in her corner?
I don't know.
Okay.
My team knows, but I'm not aware.
I think as a pro, he's never been in her corner because they split up 2016 Olympics. So that would be an incredible scene. As far as Amanda is concerned, obviously she has said some things, and Jordan Maldonado, her head trainer, have said some things. Do you subscribe to the things that they say about Katie? In essence, that she fights dirty, that she fights leading with her head. Do you think she is that type of fighter, and are you worried? Because even when you look at her, like there is it's a little puffy there. It maybe could open. I don't know. Are you worried about these things?
So worried or believe in what they're saying? Those are two
okay. Well,
questions.
first believe and then worried.
I do believe that Katie uses a strategy to lead with her head, right? To suffocate Amanda's power and not be in the mid-range, because that's where Amanda has hurt her. So yes, 100% it's a strategy. Do I believe that it's a dirty strategy trying to purposely cut open Amanda Serrano? I don't believe that, right? But you could say it's a dirty fight as a result of the headbutting technique that she uses to, again, to negate Amanda's power. Am I worried about it opening? I mean, look, you cover MMA. Once that scar tissue builds up, it's pretty easy to open up, right? And Nate Diaz being the perfect example of that. So I think it's a possibility. Do I think Amanda gives a fuck? No. Amanda's going to fight through anything and everything and finally try to get that W on paper.
What were you thinking at the press conference in April when all of a sudden we saw a bit of a different side of Katie? I think what really triggered it, I rewatched it last night, it was when she started talking about the rounds. And she was like, you don't get to dictate. You're down 2-0. And then we started to see this other side of her come out.
I loved it. I think
were you
it's
surprised?
amazing.
Or did you know that she was going to come with a bit of fire?
No, I was very surprised. Absolutely. I was surprised by the tonality of the press conference. And I think, look, it's good to see a little bit of emotion from the two of them because they are very respectful of each other. They are friendly. I believe deep down they can't stand each other.
Really?
Yeah, but they're two respectful
What makes you say that?
Because all they hear is the other person's name.
Right.
Their entire existence is based on this other human being. And so as a successful individual athlete, you don't want it to always be that, hey, this is the yin and the yang, right? No, this is Amanda Serrano. This is Katie Taylor, not Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor.
Right. Do you think there'll be tension this week between them?
I think at some point there'll be a lot of tension, yes.
Oh, really? Okay, interesting.
Look, when you watch that countdown and the question is asked who won the first fight.
Great
they
moment.
both say, I did.
Yes.
Or the two fights, whatever. It's pretty magical.
Can you take your MVP hat off and say who you thought won the second fight?
You know what I thought, and what I thought was that the the judges were going to give it to Katie Taylor, because I walked in the ring and you said, what do you think? And I said, they're going to give it to Katie. And it wasn't because I thought Katie won, because she didn't win. Amanda landed 107 more punches. Katie had a point taken away. So it was a draw or Amanda won from my perspective. But Katie has an amateur style and does clean 1-2s in and out, and that gets scored well. Right? And that's why I thought they were going to give it to Katie.
What about the first fight?
First fight I thought was a draw.
Okay. 5-5?
Yeah, I thought it was a draw. Again, Amanda was the one that had her in trouble, but Katie's style is, scores points.
You were at the first fight. Jake
Yes.
was obviously there, front row.
Yeah.
Did you have any of these plans in your mind at the time? Oh, we could do, because it took a while. Like 2 and 3 came very close. 1 and 2, it took what, 2+ years to get
if you
there.
remember, 2 was agreed, and then Amanda got injured.
Yes.
Right. So that was going to be a little bit closer.
Yeah.
Did I think would be at this point this fast? Because I still think it's fast, right? It's 3 years later.
Yeah.
And now we're headlining Madison Square Garden with all women that Eddie Hearn has said wouldn't work, isn't as good, but we're going to have double the ticket sales revenue of the first event. Did I envision that? No. But did we start to really focus on it over the past year? Yes.
How's your relationship with Eddie these days?
Fine.
There's no legal stuff that's
there's
done?
no legal situation yet.
Okay, that's finished, right? That's been,
Yes.
what is it, tossed out or agreed to?
Yeah, it's been settled.
Okay, settled is the word. Of course, we do remember the scene in the ring afterwards. What do you think it will be like this week, and in particular on fight night?
Listen, the biggest thing is what do the fighters want, right? And if Katie wants Eddie at the press conference, if she wants him walking her to the ring, if she wants him in the ring, we're totally cool with that.
Okay, and does she?
I haven't asked.
You
That's
don't
not
know
a
if she'll
conversation that I'm having.
have him in his corner or in her corner or anything?
I don't
like that?
know.
Okay. You did tweet something like 2 or so days ago. Sometimes you have to like go through your tweets with like a fine-tooth comb. Who's something about like people emulating you.
Yeah.
And it's like a form of flattery, or who are you referring to there?
Just boxing as a whole, right? In terms of the way we produced our press conferences, starting with the Anderson Silva fight. That was the first time where we spent over $300,000 on a press conference, which is what some promotions spend on an event. I was referring to our MVP owners experience. Someone sent me a clip where they were talking about, we're going to create this new amazing seat. I have an idea that we're going to do these unbelievable experiences in the ring. We started the MVP owners experience with Paul Tyson for $1 million, the most unbelievable seat and overall package in sports. We sold it then. We sold it for Paul Chavez, and we've sold it for Taylor Serrano. So it's just a recognition that, look, we're a small company, but we do some pretty cool, innovative things, and others follow it. And so that's a compliment to our team.
When you found out that the ring would have an event the next day in New York, how did you feel about that?
I loved it. I loved it.
Why did you love it?
Taylor Serrano won. Bob Arum, as Jake calls him, the dinosaur, but I don't, he's just older, right, at this point. Booked Shakur Stevenson on the same night. And people said, why are you doing this? The Taylor Serrano are fighting. Exact words. Nobody cares about women's boxing. No one's watching that. Taylor and Serrano kicked their ass in terms of viewership and ticket sales, right? Then I see they're doing a fight on July 12th with Shakur Stevenson and Edgar Berlanga, who we love and is a Puerto Rican fighter as well. And I loved it again because it's like, okay, now here are these two women and there's another event right next to them. And the biggest reason I loved it, to be honest, is it gives more to boxing fans than boxing media to cover in 1 week. So I don't view it as being value destructive. I view it to be actually value enhancing to boxing for this week.
Could I ask, I mean, I see on social media, and the most prevalent site that I see right now is The Ring, and they do seem to take some subtle shots at you guys with their tweets, with the wording. Does that annoy you?
It depends,
I'm
right?
sure you see this as well, right?
There are writers at The Ring which call us and speak to us and ask for credentials, and we're always happy to oblige. We're media loving, right? We want to treat the media well. And then there's like this narrative at The Ring which is very confusing. It's like state-owned media almost. It's not an independent source of information. Like there was one where they were trying to take a shot at ticket prices for Paul Chavez. We did lower ticket prices because it's called dynamic pricing. There was never $10 tickets available, and we broke the record after 60 boxing events at that venue. And some reporter from Canada, probably someone you know, I don't know him.
Why you say that? You're Canadian too, sort of.
Aaron something.
Oh, Bronstetter.
Yes. Yeah.
TSN.
Yeah. I'm sure he's a great journalist, but I know he's a massive, massive Dana White fanboy, UFC fanboy from what I've seen historically of his tweets. Put out something like, context, UFC did this much more in 2007 or something. Number one, great for UFC. They were around already at that point, 13, 14 years. Number two, if you continue to compare us to the biggest fight promotion in the world, that's a major win for us. That means we're doing something well. We're less than 4 years into this business, and we're continuing to grow.
If at any point the Ring, Rietes, and Zuva Boxing says, hey, we like someone in your stable. We like Alicia Baumgartner. We want to do business. We want to do fight. Are you open to working with them? Same way you're essentially, Katie's a matchroom fighter here, right? So would you be open to that?
As long as we were in a position of co-control, right? Everything that we've done, we've always had a seat at the table to be a co-decision maker, because we want to make sure that our fighters are positioned well and not treated as puppets. And that's something that we'll never do. But of course, if they came and said, hey, let's partner on an event together, we would look at that, no problem.
So since announcing all of this, Alicia Baumgartner, Ellie Scottney, Chantel Cameron, Savannah Marshall, Shanika Johnson, I'm probably forgetting, you had signed Tam Tebow, fellow Canadian.
Sharetta
Metcalf. Are there others on the radar that you're looking at right now? Obviously, the sort of elephant in the room is Clarissa Shields, who I guess we had the back and forth, which you responded to about the invite. Was she not invited? Is she invited? She's a free agent after her next fight. She would be the obvious. Are you interested?
Listen, the obvious is we want to have the best roster of female fighters in the sport, right? There's obviously hurdles to working with Clarissa, given the past public and private conversations that have occurred, but we have nothing but respect for her career, for her accomplishments, and for her independence as like promoting herself, right? The promoter she works with is a great platform, great guy, but it's not Jake Paul as a megaphone. It's not the UFC as a megaphone. It's not Eddie Hearn as a megaphone. So you have to respect what she's done by herself in being able to bring the attention that she has. So that's what I'll say.
Is she going to be there on Friday?
I don't know.
Okay. Baumgartner and Serrano is a fight that's been talked about for a long time. Now that they're under the same umbrella, does it make it easier to make the fight or harder?
I think in terms of Amanda Serrano, obviously she has a big fight ahead of her on Friday night, and then it's really what she wants to do. It's up to her. She's earned that right. This is her 51st or 52nd fight.
Is there any chance she retires with a win?
I don't know.
Because I feel like all that talk has been about Katie, but she has more fights. Obviously, the amateur career is a little bit more extensive, but she can't do this forever.
She has relatively no amateur experience.
Right.
Just like Jake Paul, actually. If you think about it, she had 12 fights. Jake had one amateur fight against a fellow YouTuber. So do I think she retires? I certainly hope not, right? Because I think she's really come into her own over the past 2 years, both as a fighter and as a brand and as a businesswoman. But it's whatever she wants to do, we'll support her. That's why we signed a lifetime deal. And that's why when she retires from inside the ring, she's going to get very active outside the ring. And then I'll finally be able to call her on her phone.
Is it true she still doesn't have one?
She does. She now has a total wireless phone.
Jeez Louise.
But it's not something that she actively uses.
So
right?
If you want to interact with her, what do you do?
Most of the time I call Jordan, and Jordan will put her on the phone.
Golly. And the socials and all that?
She's on the socials with her phone, for sure, yeah.
Okay. So can you tell us about the relationship with Netflix? Are you going case by case? They're dipping their toe. They're getting obviously more and more into one-off events, sporting events. What is MVP's relationship with them?
Yeah, what I'll say is the following. When we did Paul Tyson, everyone said, oh my God, is this are they going to do more? And I said, do more. They haven't done one. They need to see if it works. If it works, this is what I would say to everybody, 100% they're going to do more because it worked. They did one. It more than worked. It broke down the entire platform at some level, right? It was an unbelievable success that no one could have imagined. I told everyone we're going to break the record for streaming in the US. We tripled it, right? I told everyone we're going to break the record for biggest women's event in the US. We 4x'd it. So it was a success. After that, of course, they wanted more. But the question is, was that an anomaly? Or do they have something here that can actually work on a consistent basis? Not at that level, like 108 million live viewers, Super Bowl, Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. It's not going to be recurring. But can you get 20 million viewers, 30 million viewers? If you can, then there's something there. So they're doing this event with us. They have the event with Canelo in September, right? And I think once they see how those go, then they'll determine if they want to actually invest more heavily, because then they'll say, okay, it was an anomaly. It actually is something. We need to dig deeper into boxing.
What will be a win? What's the number that you're happy with on Friday?
Listen, I would be happy if the athletes go in there and put on a show.
No, I'm talking about the viewership. Do you have a number? You don't have to tell us a number, but is there a thing you're like, I want to break this number?
Yeah, we definitely have a number that we think would be successful, right? I think about Paul Tyson and the number that we had. Again, we smashed. The success of this event will be based on our ability to remind the 70+ million people that watched the first one that these two athletes are fighting again.
Yes.
Within boxing, massive event, right? But boxing is a fairly small ecosystem with a passionate fan base. The reason Jake Paul is successful, the reason that fight, the second one was successful, is because you're getting into the broader sports world and then to mainstream. And so the question is, can we do a good enough job of getting the broader sports ecosystem and the mainstream to focus on us this coming Friday night? And I'm pretty hopeful we can.
That's the greatest point of all. I was at a friend's birthday party last week. Know nothing about fighting, only watch Paul Tyson, honestly, because I was working it and they wanted to support. They don't watch pay-per-view. I was at their party, the wife's birthday party last week, and I was like, you remember those two girls that you wouldn't stop talking about? They're fighting again on Friday.
There you go.
She's like, holy shit, I need to watch. She obviously didn't know because she doesn't follow the sport. So you have to get those people, right? The soccer moms, everyone that tuned in to watch. And I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the billboards. I'm seeing all that stuff. Is part of the motivation. Do you want to do better than Canelo Crawford?
No. Do
you think that's attainable?
I don't, because if you look at the fan bases of the two fighters, of the headliners, right? Amanda is Puerto Rican, American, but Puerto Rican, right? Born in Puerto Rico, New Yorker. Fairly small population relative to Mexico. And if you look at Ireland, massive fan base for Katie, but again, a fairly small, true Irish population. I think Canelo in Mexico is going to be massive. Do I think Canelo Crawford is going to come close to Paul Tyson? No, but that's not because it's not a great fight for boxing. It's just Paul Tyson was a 6-generational cross-cultural, mainstream, massive moment in time. So we're not looking at Canelo Crawford as a comp. We're looking at our event as being successful.
Just a couple more, and then I'll let you go. I feel like I've been on a treadmill on level 15 here, peppering you with questions.
We haven't talked about his ranking.
Well, it was literally, you were here. It was literally the rank. I have a list in my mind. The ranking number 14 WBA. That was literally the next question. Is he going to remain ranked? Because people were upset about this. What's happening? And now
who's upset?
I don't know. People, Joe X495.
You have no idea how many people tell us how people are trying to keep Jake out of boxing. How people are calling different people and say, if you work with MVP, you can't work with us. And to me,
who's saying this?
Whoever it may be. We know who it is. This is a very small world, and we're going to continue to be gentlemen and keep confidential in terms of what we hear in the marketplace, but it's laughable, right? That you're that bothered by this young man and his success and his impact on the sport that you're going to that length. I have no idea if the WBA is going to review it.
As of right now, he's 14.
He's number 14, right? And I have a list here. I've been looking at it.
Okay.
The WBO number 11 fighter. And again, this is nothing against these fighters. This is just what this ranking systems are. And this is the reality of the sport. The number 11 cruiserweight in the WBO is 28 fights in. His 27th fight was against a guy, so his second last fight, was against a guy who was 5-18 in a 6-round fight. And that 5-18 guy was coming off of 8 consecutive losses. Is that a tougher opponent, or Nate Diaz in a 10-round fight? Or Anderson Silva, or Tyron Woodley, who are certified killers who are coming in and looking to put an end to Jake Paul? The guy fought a guy who was coming off of 18 consecutive losses, and he's ranked number 11. How is Jake different than that in terms of the competition? WBA is number 13. The WBA. So Jake is 14, the number 13 guy. 12 fights in. His last fight was against a guy who was 5-8 and was 2-4 going into that fight. Is that a tougher competitor than Chavez Jr., who has the whole world watching and wants to dethrone Jake Paul? And then my favorite one is the WBC number 14. He's 50-10, which is pretty accomplished, 44 years old. And his last fight was against a guy who was 8-2. And you'd look at that and say, that's okay, that's pretty good. Except the guy who was 8-2, his 8 victories were against opponents whose total combined wins were 7 wins. Do you follow?
Yes.
So literal tomato cans that were put there to lose. And these guys are ranked.
And everyone's upset.
Jake Paul has never fought an opponent that was there to lose. Every opponent, based on his development as a boxer, has been challenging for him. When he fought Ben Askren, Dana White said, I'll put $1 million that Ben Askren is going to beat Jake Paul, because everyone knew Jake was fairly new to the sport and he wasn't, quote unquote, a fighter yet. We saw what happened with Ben. By the way, obviously, our thoughts are with Ben.
Respect.
I also want to, actually, on that point, also give our condolences to the Brady family for Jeff Brady. One of our team members, Melissa Henricks, was very close to him, and very sad to see what happened there. What a hero in terms of him giving his own life to save two young children. So I want to say that before we leave here. But going back to the rankings, that was Ben Askren. Then he fought Tyron Woodley. Do you think Tyron Woodley was coming in to end his legacy for a couple of $1 million payday? No, he was coming in there to actually beat Jake Paul and continue to make massive amounts of money in boxing. And Jake dealt with that. Every step of the way, the competition has been fairly matched for Jake from our perspective, right? Tommy Fury, as we talked about earlier, a very experienced guy who'd been boxing since he was 5-6 years old. For Jake, a massive challenge, who was in the sport for 3 years. And it was a split decision, and Jake knocked him down. So I think it's totally unfair that people look at Jake and say he shouldn't be ranked when you look at the composition of the opponents of some of the other folks that are ranked. Do I understand some of the negative sentiment because people can't grasp why this young man has so much of a draw, so much of an interest from the general public? Yeah, I guess so. But that's what's important, is that you want to be someone that draws attention, right? Lomachenko, a decorated amateur, obviously. I think he had a title fight in his second fight. Why? Because he had a decorated amateur career, I guess, right? But it wasn't like he'd earned his stripes. It wasn't like he was ranked out the gate after one fight. So I think it's a bit of pick and choose in terms of how people want to take shots. You can take shots of lots of things in boxing. Jake is a good target because he gets lots of attention. And, we're hopeful that the WBA continues to recognize him as a ranked fighter. But ultimately, if they decide to change it, that just speaks to what boxing is. Because somebody called you and said they were upset about Jake being ranked. It's ridiculous.
Is he going to fight again this year?
Absolutely.
That's the plan? What
100%.
time frame?
November, December.
Who's the front runner?
I'm seeing him tonight for dinner, and we'll have that conversation.
The front runner or Jake?
Jake Paul.
Oh. Is Tank a real possibility?
The only possibility right now, man, is that Jake wants to fight for a belt as soon as possible. That's the real.
But that happened this year.
I think I got to talk to him. I think it's tough this year because Badu Jack, who he wants to fight more so than anyone, has a mandatory rematch with the guy he just beat per the WBC. So I don't know if this year is possible. We'll see.
But he will fight this year.
100%. Yeah. Look, that's the plan.
That's the plan. First things first, though. July 11th, this Friday, Netflix, the Mecca, Madison Square Garden. There's the poster. It's a tremendous poster, by the way. Greatness Demands a Trilogy. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, prelims on the MVP and Netflix YouTube channels.
Yeah, so if you look at Paul Tyson, we had over 10 million viewers on the prelims, and so which is a massive number for anything to have that kind of viewership. So we're excited about the prelims here, and given the UK time frame, right, and having Chantel Cameron on there on the prelims, that will be great. And then 8 p.m. Eastern goes into the
Which
main
fight
card.
steals the show? Not the main event. If you had to pick a sleeper fight.
I think Savannah and Shadeja is going to be electric. I think those two are going to come in there and bang it out. I think Ellie Scottney is going to put on a performance of a lifetime. She's facing a very tough opponent, right? Not an easy fight, but Ellie's a supreme boxer. I think Sharetta and Sugar Neeks Johnson is going to be very exciting, right? Big opportunity for both of them. And look, you have 2 unified championships and you have 3 undisputed championships in one night. It's going to be just a magical moment for the sport.
Incredible. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. There he is, co-founder of Most Valuable Promotions, the one and only Nakisa Bidarian. Quick break, super chats, then we say goodbye because I have to go. Don't go anywhere. It's good to see you.
You too, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. By the way, you were at Mania?
Oh, my God.
Hell,
Let me tell you something, brother.
You're right there in the freaking front row, man.
Oh, my God. Like, again.
You put the ones up. I saw you.
Bro, because, okay, my boy, shout out to Stay Hydrated. Everyone knows who that is.
He's
Luca, he's the best in the game.
Is he here, too?
No.
Okay.
He's the best in the game. He's a big wrestling fan. And he got me into a Rumble when I was in Saudi. I watched it live. And then I was like, okay, let me see how this plays out. So it's been on Netflix now, so I kind of pop in. I just put on the TV sometimes in the background. Still trying to follow the storylines, but then I was like, yo, WrestleMania, childhood dream.
Yeah.
You know?
You had never been, right?
Never been to a wrestling show live. So
you've never been to one ever? Wow.
So of all the ones to go to was at Allegiant Stadium, massive. You walk in there and I'm just like, both days were insane.
You went to both, right?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I'm there. DC was there on day one as well. I was giving him shit.
Yeah.
Because his guy lost. Fuck, I can't remember. But yeah, it was amazing. Just being there, it's like a childhood dream ticked off. Just to be at WrestleMania, watching these guys that I've watched since I was a kid, that I've learned from unknowingly as well, not knowing I was gonna do this shit growing up, you know. But yeah, it was insane. And it was, one for the books.
The production is insane, right?
Wow.
The energy, the stage, the ramp.
The crowd, it's fucking packed. And they all know what they're doing. Like when Jey Uso pulled up and they're all singing the theme song. Yeah. And Stone Cold pulled up on the ATV as well. It was just classic. I loved it.
Yeah. It was a little bumpy. Did it make you think of, like, now that you actually
I already said I will do it.
I know,
one
but
day.
now that you're actually there.
Oh yeah.
Did it make it even more intense?
Nah. Oh, what do you mean, like?
Fuck, I really want to do this.
I want to do it just like cameo.
Yeah.
Like I say, I don't want to be in there every week. I just feel like for me, I like to write my own story in my life as the narrator or player one or whatever. So. That would be fun to just like do a cameo, pop in there like Mayweather did one time, hit a little and then gap it.
Speaking of which, like, so you mentioned Saudi, and again, thank you for being here. This is great.
Thank you for having me.
I love it, and I love the shirt. We'll get to get to the young man in a moment.
On, man.
The man who's here. Yes.
I get goosebumps again.
Co-main. Man, you looked so good in that fight, and I said on the Monday after that it was unfortunate because I felt, and now I can ask you, you were rolling. You got poked in the eye.
Yeah.
Mistake, unintentional.
Yeah.
And you just brushed it off. But when you did that. Okay. There's my conversation with Israel Adesanya from June 26th. That was a great conversation, a quick one with one Nakisa Bidarian. I say quick, I mean, it was like 40 minutes. But there was a lot to get to there. And I feel like we got to a lot of it, the vast majority of it. I'm actually very excited to be hosting the face-to-face. I love doing those face-to-faces. You know the ones, right? Where one person sits. Some people like to sit with the chair like facing this way. I'm not really that guy, if I'm being honest. I'm more of a chair side-to-side guy. You know, like side-side, and then I just sit like this like a normal. But some people like the... Anyway, super chats. Do we have any super chats? Okay. What's that?
Said, of course we do.
Is PT still here? How are the pretzels?
He's enjoying the pretzels.
Fellow Australian. Let's get PT in one of the chairs back there. That'd be fun. You know, like.
What else?
What else?
Benny Avina says, crack your back with the boys in the back.
Nice one. Thanks, Benny.
Cosmo Kramer. Vibes are peak with PT in studio. This is
Schlant. What was that? Sasha?
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Then we have 24-inch Dubs. Teddy Roosevelt had boxing matches on the White House lawn.
This feels like a Ben Folks feature story. The time Teddy Roosevelt or Roosevelt. Is it Roosevelt or Roosevelt?
Roosevelt.
Yeah, shout out.
We got Wally back here.
What do we got?
He's trying to figure out the headphones.
Oh, for fuck. Look at this guy.
I've got double headphones. I've got headphones and I got the ear thing.
You're still wearing the ear
Why
thing.
Didn't you pull it out of your ear.
Listen, it's tough back here, GC. Jesus, with the button press.
Right, you can just flick it. You don't got to hold.
Wait, so am I talking now?
Yeah, you're talking. You look fantastic.
The technology.
What are you doing back there? Pretzels, sitting in the cafeteria?
Pretzels with case. We had some pretzels.
What? By the way, why does it say Kevin David back there?
What?
Those are the
Kevin
names.
David.
The bagel and
Those
the
are
coffee.
his American names,
Yeah.
no?
Oh, yeah, know yourself.
I went to Wegmans. I got a roast beef sandwich.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Wait, you weren't just locked in on the show. I'm sitting here working. You're going out and about.
He did not see shit from the show. I was like, did you see that Josh Mann interview? It was great. He's like, the who?
The who, yeah.
Who's that? Yeah, no, you seem to be doing a great job, man.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. 3.5 hours here. Sweating my, I'm knackered back
It's been tough
here.
for me to be just kind of standing around the place for this long, to be honest.
No, I got it. Why don't you go to the media day?
What's that?
I don't know. What else?
Darvin asked, Derek Lewis versus a Russian on the White House card?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? It's impossible to predict these things. I mean, who knows? Would be nice. Maybe Jake Paul on the card. What else, Frank?
In today's episode of Weird YouTube Videos for You, Ariel, Carl Anthony Towns breaking down UFC 274 with James Krause.
Really? That is a weird one. I will check it out. Shout out to Kat. I miss my boys. I have not seen them in 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks, and I will see them in 2 weeks, so I'm very excited about that.
The Knicks?
No, I was talking about my actual boys because they tell me about all the Carl Anthony Towns videos, so that made me think of Kat. What else?
Emily Winbelong sends over 19 Thai baht, which is 53 cents American. Thank you.
THB is Thai?
Baht, yeah.
Baht as in B-O-T?
B-A-H-T.
Thank you, Emily. Appreciate it. Very kind. How much does it equal to?
53 cents.
Yeah, one Thai baht is...
Come on, Emily.
Little over half a dollar.
We could do a little bit. I mean, the airtime that we've just devoted to this is worth more than
We
53
appreciate
cents.
all our fans
Yeah,
and all
we
their
do.
super
We do,
chats.
we
Thank
do,
you very much,
we do.
family.
$2.90 to get on the train these days.
Yeah. What else? What else, Frank?
Fantastic MMA sends a cool emoji, but I love the profile picture. I love the name.
You know, I have to say, like, for $1.99, the cool emoji, is it really worth our time here? I mean, like,
Again, we appreciate all super chats.
Like, really?
We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Thanks, fantastic.
Yeah,
And Jake from Windy City finishes us off with, when will the UFC media rights deal be finalized?
You know, there was a hot rumor that they were going to announce something at International Fight Week. Obviously, that didn't happen. They also said they were going to announce heavyweight title. They happened before. Who knows? I mean, it could literally happen. I remember when they did the ESPN deal, it was announced in May for, January start. There's 5 more months. Technically, I guess it could happen in December. Do I think it's going to happen in December? No. Do I think it happens before? Yes. Do I think it happens, in the next 5 months? Yes. Why do I feel like a September-ish range seems like a thing? Why do I feel like that's a thing? I don't know. But the last I heard was June, International Fight Week. Since then, I've not heard anything. Was that it? 4:30 hard out. What, are you guys going out for dinner or what, PT?
Yeah, they're trying to make me eat sea insects, and I'm not into it.
We're doing Fight Feast New Orleans. We're going to get a crawfish boil.
They're going to get a crawfish boil.
Shirt that makes you look like an optical illusion.
And that's it, Ben, folks. What a bollocks. I mean, what? Rick is out there coming in and seeing me in his seat. Look at this.
Yeah.
It's finished, buddy. What the fuck is this?
He's been setting up shop.
I know what to press the button now, and I still flick it.
Yeah, just flick it, man.
Nah,
No. Let it off. Quickly.
Hey, 4:33 hard out. We got to get going here.
You're not talking to the microphone.
muted.
It's not working.
Fucking guys, it's literally just flicking a
mess
button.
of the situation. Can you do the crack from there on Friday just so you don't mess anything up here?
Jesus. Dude, it's so fucking easy.
What about our mugs though? What about our mugs? Everyone love? Should we sell these?
Yeah, we had a little malfunction with Nakisa. He saw me washing it and he was like, "I'm not putting my water in that dirty ass mug."
For real?
I was like,
by the way,
next time.
I was wondering why he came in with the plastic. I thought we were eliminating the plastic.
In future, we don't even give them the option.
Why? So wait, he saw you washing the mug and
he saw it in the box, and then he saw me washing it like a busboy in the back.
You took it out of the box in front of him.
We didn't have any other option. I actually left it in the studio.
Yes, I was wondering why you left them all.
I was so damn excited about him. I left him in the studio.
And then he turned it down.
Tomorrow, he was like, nah, man. Appreciate
What's
you.
Rick said he tried.
Yep.
I don't believe him.
Hey, thanks to all our guests. Thank you to Nakisa. Thank you to Josh Van. Thank you to Frank Mir. And of course, thank you to Butterbean. Back tomorrow, same time. Peace out here.
James Tahuna?